most intense, thrilling, electrifying sport on the planet. Mixed martial arts. You've been looking for the definitive podcast to call your new home to hear everything about it. The search is over. This is the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. Bringing you the hottest MMA breakdowns straight from the heart of the octagon. This show is all about MMA breakdowns. For fans, by fans. We're talking UFC, MMA, and the occasional big boxing match. We'll bring our unique take on how these fights are going to play out and who we think are the best bets. Welcome to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. And now your hosts, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and Emiliano, a.k.a. Jive Turkey Nano.
What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I'm your host, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and with me, as always, is the co-host with the most, Jive Turkey Nano. How we doing, brother?
We are doing great, brother. It's great to see you. It's Thursday, aka Friday Junior. And boy, am I excited for this Miami card 305. Nothing but good vibes, baby. Come on.
Absolutely, my friend. I am so stoked for this one. And what's up, Mad Max Meridian in the chat?
What it do,
Happy
baby?
to have you here. It is Friday Junior, baby. We are here to celebrate it, and we are fucking ready, folks.
Let's go.
UFC 299 is one that is going to be just banger after banger after banger after banger. From start to finish, from finish to start. Oh, it's just going to be an absolute night of thrills, folks. So we are here to break it all down in its glory. We are here to pick our winners and give you our best bets for UFC 299. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right on into it and start at the bottom of the card here. And you know it's going to be a crazy good card when the very first early prelim involves Joanna Calderwood. Nano, talk to me about this fight, man. Who do you have and how do you see it going?
Brother, so excited for this fight card, man. And very excited for this fight. I got to be honest, y'all. 299. This might be one of the most stacked cards we've had in a long time. I'm talking years, man. Since I can remember. And we got 300 to look forward to. My goodness, we're spoiled. But yeah, man, I think the UFC knows what they're doing. Starting the night off with a Joanne Wood. Brings nothing but fireworks and lays nothing but the wood when she comes out there in the octagon. She's 38 years old, 16-8 record, 5 KOs, and she is the underdog in this matchup. And there might be some reasons why, right? You might be thinking, well, hey, you know, this Joanne, I mean, this is someone we've seen in the UFC for quite some time now. And to be exact, she's been in the UFC for 10 years, ladies and gents. That is a decade, y'all. I find that to be a big deal. And with that, you know, this is a rematch that she had from 9 years ago. So can she go out and avenge a loss that she withstood, again, 9 years ago now, which seems like almost forever ago, if you can imagine where you were then. My goodness. But did Joanne make any improvements since that last matchup, more specifically in the submission realm, right? Only time will tell, but I am nervous for our girl Joanne Wood. I just find that at this stage, going up against someone like a Marina Moroz at 32 years young, 11-5 record with 6 subs, a minus 235 favorite according to ESPN at this point, and she's fighting out an American top team, so she she has a good camp. And again, those 6 submissions, one of those already being a Joanne Wood. My question being, again, has she made those improvements? Has she made those strides? At 38 years old, I'm not sure, right? I mean, she beat her when she was in her prime, you can argue. And Marina was still a young buck in the UFC, but she's now grown into her own and, again, has a really good record and coming in here with a lot of momentum. So I'm leaning Marina Moroz. I could be sold here, though. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, brother, and how you're seeing this fight go down.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have a little bit of bias here. I really like JoJo. Joanne Calderwood dropped the Calder, kept the Wood. Joanne Wood. Me and Mare have been watching her since The Ultimate Fighter, right? And as a result of that, obviously, going to be pulling for this one. So it is what it is. Now I'm going to break down why I'm pulling for her, aside from just my bias. Obviously, she's fighting at a little bit of a reach deficit here, as you pointed out. 1.5 inch reach advantage here for Marina Moroz, who, fun fact, is the first UFC fighter to pose for Playmates or for Playboy. Not sure if you know that or not, but yeah, she's the first one to pose for Playboy magazine. So that's a fun fact about Marina Moroz. Another fun fact is that she is a 32-year-old absolute badass in the UFC's flyweight women division, or women's flyweight division, I should say. Why I think she's not going to win this fight, though. She doesn't have the experience that Joanne Wood has. And I know what you're thinking, like there's only a 4 or 5 fight difference between them as far as experience goes. But if you look into who these people have fought, there's definitely a difference in level of competition, in my opinion here. Marina Moroz's biggest wins are over Maria Agapova and Mayra Bueno Silva. And the Mayra Bueno Silva one was about 4 years ago, back in 2020 in March. So literally 4 years ago. Now, Joanne Wood has wins over Andrea KGB Lee, Ariane Queen of Violence Lipsky, Jessica Ai, Luana Carolina. And when she's lost, she typically loses to big names like, Alexa Grasso, who you might have heard of because she's the fucking champ. Lauren Murphy, lucky Lauren Murphy, who luck's got nothing to do with her career, and it has everything to do with her tenacity and ability to grind out just about anybody in front of her who is not a champ or ex-champion. Now, when it comes to Joanne Wood, she just has that resume, and I truly think that she might be that girl. I also have reason to believe that this is going to be her retirement fight, and with this being her retirement fight, you got to think she's going to push extra hard in this one. She's going to come out guns a-blazing, and I mean, I hate to break it back to Marvel Comics here, but those of you that know me know I'm always going to be Team Cap. So, not a fan of Iron Man, and the lady's nickname is literally Iron Lady. So, gotta fade her, gotta bet against her. We're going for JoJo Wood. I like Joanne Calderwood here. And, I mean, Wood by decision is plus 300. It's nice. I'm not going to lie. I think Mad Max has the right pick here when it comes to what to do with your hard-earned money. Moroz by decision plus 115. Wood by decision plus 300. I don't think that this one's going to end up being a finish on either side. Both these girls are very durable, so I think that might be the way to go. Maybe put like a fifth of a unit on both of those.
I like it. Starting the night off early with some potential bets here, y'all. Get your notepads out because we're gonna have some heat this week. I'm telling you, I'm feeling good, man. I think we're gonna be hot. We'll write these bets down, but yeah, man, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a fifth of a unit on both of those. Fifth of a unit on Moroz by decision and a fifth of a unit on Wood by decision. I think that's a fun little hedge. Not going to break the bank on what I'm putting on it, but my heart and my brain is both kind of leaning towards Wood in the grand scheme of things on this one. Jumping into the next fight, we have CJ Vergara coming in against Asu Almabayev. A very, very fun matchup in the 125-pound flyweight division. Two up-and-comers, CJ Vergara, we've seen a little bit more. However, the up-and-comer that is going to be standing across from him on Saturday night, I think probably has more tenure and more skill overall. So definitely not an easy draw of the straw for old CJ Vergara here. Zulfikar Asu Almabayev is, again, just an absolute beast. 18-2. He is currently on a 14-fight win streak. So that's something. And I don't know if you know, but the last guy that he beat was Ode Osborne, who's an absolute fucking beast. And he got him by a rear naked choke just 3 minutes and 11 seconds into round number 2. So I really like Asu Almabayev in this one. I think you actually went CJ Vergara. This is one of the very, very few ones where me and Nano actually went against each other. And before I pass it off to Nano, what up, Tico Tech LLC? Welcome back, brother. Always a pleasure to have you in the chat.
What's up, my guy? What's up? Yeah, brother. I did notice that we technically disagree on this one. What up, Matt Max? Good to have you back. But yes, okay, I do want to say that I might have been a bit premature on this pick, okay? because the more I looked into it, the more I thought, wow, this guy Asu is a no joke. Okay, this guy's an absolute animal. He's an absolute mauler. But let me start with CJ Vergara, and what I think my initial thought was leading into this fight. Before I looked at the odds, before I did my due diligence, I thought, okay, this is a guy in CJ that I've seen since the Dana White Contender Series debut. He's been 4-2, has had a really good record, 32 years old, 12-4, 7 KOs. So he has that power, he has that capability to put your lights out. And I've noticed that only his losses are only to young and explosive fighters. That was the note I put. And I thought, well, hopefully he's not fighting a young and explosive guy. But then I saw Asu Almabayev, and my freaking goodness. Check out the highlights, y'all. You'll see an absolute mauler. You'll see a dude picking people up, throwing them down. He's a beast, man. 30 years old, 18-2 record with 9 submissions. Once he gets you down there, man, he's like an anaconda. He cranks your neck. RNC all day with this kid, man. He's legit. He's a dude, again, that I frankly have never heard of. And now I feel a little silly, and I got to keep my receipts. I got to put my money where my mouth is. And, although I thought, I'm gonna stick with my UFC guy here, and I think that's kind of a theme of this UFC 299 here in South Beach, Miami. It's some new guns in the UFC. It's some of the old veterans we've seen versus this new generation. There's so many narratives to tell, and I'm excited to dive into it. Not to get too sidetracked, but this is an early example of that, right? This is someone who is not a household name in Asu Almabayev, but my gosh, again, he's strong. He is a really, really good wrestler. He's athletic, and he complements his game really well. So again, you mentioned it too, man. I want to reiterate, Asu did beat Ode, who beat CJ. So I'm using some MMA math here, and I'm probably going to be wrong on my pick. So maybe I just want to get belligerent drunk next week with you and say that I'm wrong. But no, after further review, I think I'm probably leaning more towards Asu. However, still going to stay away from it because the odds are just a bit of a landslide. And as much as I love hedgeronis, like Mad Max kindly put in the chat here, as much as I like a hedge bet or trying to get ahead of these odds and trying to think outside the box, I'm just going to stay away from it. You're not really getting good odds. Asu's probably going to find a way to win. But I'm not going to bet any hard-earned money. I'm not going to put any unis down that CJ is going to miraculously, find a way. But it's going to be closer than a minus 600 or plus 475 than you're getting. I think that's a little disrespectful. But again, this guy Asu is no joke. So maybe they know something we don't.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that it's going to be a closer fight than it looks like on paper. However, I still got to go with my guy Asu Almabayev. I think he gets it done. I think he is a very, very strong up-and-comer at just 30 years of age. Kid has an extremely bright future in the UFC flyweight division. I truly think the sky is the limit. Speaking of sky being the limit, my goodness, we got a guy that's 4-0 on one of the biggest cards of the year. 4 fights, and he's on one of the biggest fight cards of the entire year. Nano, intro this fight and tell us how you feel about it.
Here we go. I think you're talking about our guy here in the, what is this? The division, heavyweight division. My apologies, but 35 years old. We're talking about a Robelis Desbanier. I'm going to say it. I hope I said that right. He's Cubano, so I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. But man, Robelis, he's a freaking robot. He's a beast. He's a monster. Or as you say in Spanish, a monstruo. 4-0 record, but he is the betting favorite. Why do you ask? Well, again, this guy is making his UFC debut on UFC 299, but it is for a reason. Okay, there is always a rhyme to the reason, y'all, and it is because he is a freak of nature. Okay, let me just start off with some of these statistics. All right, 6'7", 87-inch reach, beast, and might I add, he is an ex-Taekwondo Olympist. I don't know the right way pronunciation on that, but he was in the Olympics representing Cuba for Taekwondo. This guy is an absolute beast. I think that's the reason why we've never heard of him. I think that's the reason why he does have not a lot of wins, not a lot of fights under his belt in MMA. as an amateur or as a pro, but that's okay because he was busy kicking people, doing the actual sport at the Olympic level. That is Taekwondo. So this dude knows how to throw them. Might be a little unorthodox. We might see some unique strikes. It may look a little funky at times, but I do think there's going to be one verdict here. I'm probably going to slam. I didn't look at the odds, but I would take the under on this. I don't think the judges will be needed for this heavyweight bout. And that's typically what happens when these big boys are throwing. But it does have a dude in front of him, right? Josh Parisian, excuse me. I think I like the second one better. 24 years young, 15-7, 11 KOs. This dude's no joke, right? He's going to give Rubelis, I think, a tough run for his money or for as long as the fight lasts. But he does have a well-rounded game, coming off 2 losses, so Josh really needs a win. But the UFC is doing him no favors, like you just mentioned for boy CJ last fight. But that's not what the UFC does. The UFC is not a charity case. This is a nonprofit. This is not a nonprofit organization. Okay, they're here for business. They're here for big money. They're here for violence, and that's exactly what we're getting on Saturday. And that's what I think is going to happen on this fight, y'all. Some big boys throwing down. This dude's the size of an offensive lineman, Rubelis. He's the size of a power forward in the NBA, and he's going to be swinging and banging. So I'm excited. Olin, what you got to add to that, man?
Man, I don't know how much better I can do it than you already did, my friend. I think for sure what it all boils down to is he going to transfer all those abilities that we saw in his Taekwondo career into mixed martial arts? Rubelis Despang is an absolute monster of a human being. And I think the biggest thing worth noting, and I don't know if you covered this or not, sorry if you did and I maybe missed it, but longest reach in UFC history. Only man in UFC history with longer reach than John Bones Jones, to my knowledge. John Jones' reach, I believe.
And it's longer than Ngannou's, I believe, too, right? I think I saw that on the social medias.
So, yes. He has the longest reach in MMA. I don't know why it says on Google that it's only 84 inches and it says John Jones is 84 and a half. But I know I've read that fact.
Yeah, no, it's definitely longer. It might even be longer than 87. Yeah.
Okay, it's 87. Okay, there you go. That makes sense.
I'm using the UFC's website, so I think they definitely are probably proud of that and want to promote that. It's 87, y'all.
Yeah, so that's a fucking whopping 3 inches more than John Jones. And in fight, like in combat sports, 3 inches is huge. Okay?
Huge.
It's huge. So Rubelis Despang is probably going to go out there and put a hurting on a guy that has literally 4.5 times as many professional MMA fights as him. It's going to be wild. I think that the under on this is probably one of the better bets. Mad Max actually already threw it in the chat here. I see under 1.5 minus 310. Am I going to bet on it? Probably not. Might end up throwing it into a parlay later on, but even then, I don't know. The favorite odds here on him are pretty stacked against us if we're trying to make money, if I'm being honest here. So yeah, I'll probably just stay away from that to an extent. But again, he's explosive, he's long, he's strong, he's down to get the friction on. As they said in that one rap song, you know what I'm talking about. So I think he gets it done. I think he gets it done via finish, but I'm not confident enough to take that bet, right? Again, he only has 4 fights professionally in mixed martial arts. And I mean, granted, all of those fights are finishes in the very first round. I'm worried for what might happen if he does end up making it out of the first round. Parisian is somebody that can weather the storm to an extent. So if he weathers the storm and if he gets a takedown, that could just spell bad news bears for our guy, Rubelis. So my pick is Rubelis, but I'm avoiding the betting lines on this one, folks. I'm just going to keep it completely honest with you. Moving into the next fight, honestly, I feel like there's too many good fights on this card. It's more stacked than 300 in my opinion. Like, we've got Michel Pereira coming in against Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. This fight has fireworks written all over it. Oh man, but I definitely have a favorite pick in this one, and I'm gonna go off on a tangent, and I don't want to sway you on your pick. So let's hear who you got and how you got him.
I love it. I love it. No, this is an absolute banger of a fight, man. Like you mentioned, brother, we got two people that can definitely be on a main card event on any fight night for sure. Two guys with, like we like to say here, huge implications in the division. But we got a Michel Pereira, 30 years old, 29-11 record, still busy, right? I mean, 40 fights at 30 years young, craziness. And within that, 11 KOs, 7 subs as well. And the one thing with Michel early on was, boy, is he fun to watch, but hey, you can't always do the craziness. You can't do the showboating. You can't be doing the flying kicks, the roundhouse cartwheel kicks, and all these crazy strikes. Let's reel it in a little bit, right? And let's get focused up, because I do think he has all those tools and abilities. He just needed to get a little bit of the IQ, right? Needed some good coaching, needed to reel in that wild buck that he is, man, because boy, is he fun, and boy, is he athletic, and he's strong, and he's on a 6-fight win streak. I wanted to pivot and say he's down to get the friction on, but we're going to stay focused here. But yeah, 6-fight win streak after his weird DQ loss to Diego Sanchez, which was by illegal knee, and then a decision loss before that to a Tristan Connolly. But again, these are all 4 years ago. Since then, 6 wins, and 4 of them have gone to decision. So it's not like he's sitting here just putting people's lights out, winning on luck, or just getting the lucky punch. He's actually spending 15 minutes in these fights with proven dudes in the division. Tough guys, a Nico Price, an Andre Fiallo, guys that, yeah, okay, maybe they're not ranked, but they're tough dudes that have been around the block for a long time, that have experience, that are not making these silly mistakes. So I think that's helped Michel grow and mature a lot. So, and I think that's going to be his best path to victory, is to not get too sidetracked, not try to put out a tough Michael O, who really doesn't get stopped too often. Someone that in a Michael O, who is a solid fighter. He's 29 years young, so about the same age, 19-6, not as busy, but 14 KOs. I mean, this guy knows how to get it done, right? When it comes to the striking on the feet, he has really good leg strikes as well. But again, like I've said in other fights, man, this guy Michael O, his only downfall in his 7 years in the UFC, 7-4 record, but he's lost some explosive and athletic fighters, and that's exactly what Michel Pereira is. He's unorthodox. He's really good movements, and I think that's where, from a like punching perspective, from a stylistic perspective on their feet, is Michael O going to be able to assess and read, and is he going to be able to like track down his target in front of him in the Michel Pereira, right? Because he's going to be moving. Is he going to be able to track him down? Is he going to be able to land those strikes, and with purpose? Because when you have someone in front of you that is really strong, that's fast, and he's moving around, and he's feinting, and he's doing these unorthodox things, and you do have to prepare for it. Like, maybe you won't see it, but a flying knee could come at any time. A spinning heel kick can come at any time. So when you have someone in front of you like that, I think you're going to be a little more hesitant. And when he's moving, and you're a striker that likes to, and talking about Michael here, likes to maybe get warmed up, likes to sit in the pocket and exchange and throw counters, but multiple punch counters and strikes, legs, punches, everything. But you can't do that when someone's bouncing around the octagon, like a freaking, like a spinner top or something. So I'm going to get off my soapbox here. I want to hear your breakdown and see if you try to sway me away from him. But I'm leaning Michel. I'm leaning Michel here. That's my pick. I think this is the more durable guy, the more explosive fighter, with a little bit more experience. And I think that's going to come into play here. I think it's going to be a decision win. It's going to be a fun fight, though. Like you said, we're spoiled, man. This is a banger. What are your thoughts, brother?
Definitely a solid breakdown. Couldn't disagree more on a lot of fronts. But, this wouldn't be the No Filter show if I didn't. So here we go, man. Gonna jump right on into it. I like Michel Pereira. I do also think that he does a lot of nonsensical things in there, throwing backflips, jumping around, backflipping onto a kick that lands onto another man's dick. Not the brightest thing in the world to do, but we've seen it happen time and time again. I digress. Running in circles, jumping off the cage, thinking he's fucking Showtime Pettis plus 30 pounds. it just the things that he does are not smart and not a detriment to, like, they're just not a great asset to winning fights. They're great for getting views. They're great for highlights. They're great for YouTube shorts with, you know, the track. I feel like you could throw a bunch of montages of that guy to that song and it would just be hilarious. But I digress. We're here to talk about fights and not dancing and jumping and doing crazy shit. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is an absolute monster of a man. If I had to describe him in one sentence, if you gave me 3 words to describe him, describe this fighter in 3 words, I would say forward pressure boxing. Constant forward pressure is what this man does. Very much like the young man on my shirt, Dustin Diamond Poirier here. He just constantly moves forward and seemingly has no breaks. He does not know how to move backwards. He does not know how to take a back step. Even if you're landing on him, he will push through the pain and push through the flames to land his own pain. So I got to take Mikhail Oleksiejczuk in this one. And I love that Tico Tech LLC threw it in the chat. I literally was on the UFC Twitch earlier chatting with Jens Pulver, and I said this same exact thing. The way that he rips to the body is going to add up very quickly against someone that already wastes energy, like Michel Pereira. Thank you, co-host Jaff Turkey Nano, for demonstrating so kindly those body shots off to the side there. So I absolutely love the way that he rips to the body, and I think that it's going to add up. He's going to post and then bow, just like land at will on the body of Michel, because he keeps his hands up. He always keeps his hands either up or just out at the sides. And if his hands are out at the sides, honestly, Oleksiejczuk is going to just jab at range. And then as soon as he gets him to drop guard or raise his guard rather after eating those jabs, then he's coming with the body hooks. And it's just going to be fucking disgusting. I'm here for it. I can't wait for this fight. I think it's going to steal the show as far as the early prelims go. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the next one, folks. We got Ion Cutelaba coming in against Felipe Lins. Man, Felipe Lins has been doing this for a very long time, coming in at 30 years of age and 6'2". This guy is an absolute mammoth of a man. Very, very large 205er. 78-inch reach. Obviously not as impressive as Robeles. I get it. But still very nice reach. Has a 3-inch reach advantage over his opponent, Ion Cutelaba, who is at 30 years of age and 6'1". These guys are both very, very powerful 205ers, albeit inconsistent. I like Ion Cutelaba, especially like the whole painting up as the Hulk and coming in. You know, I'm a sucker for Marvel Comics or comics in general. But it's hard to bet on this guy. He's extremely inconsistent. Even when he's good, he makes you wonder what's going to happen next, right? Magomed Ankalaev, those 2 losses, the first one a bit wonky where he was pretending to be hurt and the ref just did a piss poor job, if we're calling a spade here, as we usually do. And then in the next one, it didn't go much better for him. He got TKO'd by punches in the very first round. And then after that, I mean, he stringed together 2 wins, not even back-to-back, but one over Devin Clark and one over Tanner the Bulldozer Bozer. In his first fight down to light heavyweight from heavyweight, I thought he didn't really look that great coming down. He looked very slow at light heavyweight. I had much higher hopes for him, if I'm being honest. But he also picked up 3 losses in between those 2 wins to Kennedy Nchukwu, Johnny Walker, and Ryan Spann, all 3 of which are fairly inconsistent in their own rights. So with that being said, it's really, really hard to bet on this guy just because of his inconsistencies. Standing across from him is a 17-5 Felipe Monstro Lins, who is, fairly more consistent aside from canceled bouts. Granted, he has a loss to Tanner the Bulldozer Bozer. He's also got a loss to Andrei Arlovsky. I mean, he's looked good since coming down to light heavyweight. He's got wins over Marcin Prachnio. He's got a win over Ovince St. Preux, aka OSP. He also has a win over Maxim Grishin, who's a grindy fighter, and he got a unanimous decision win over him. My heart and my brain is telling me that this fight is going to be a very, very long, drawn-out 15 minutes of Ion Cutelaba being forced onto the ground and forced to breathe heavily. And all that muscle and all that knockout power he has, once it's pushed to its limit and he's breathing heavy and those muscles are sapped, it's just going to be dead weight, kid. I'm taking Monstro in this one. I think Monstro defeats the Hulk. Iwan Cutelaba is not the real Hulk. He doesn't get stronger the angrier he gets, and he damn sure isn't going to get stronger the longer he gets grappled. So give me Felipe Lins in this one. Probably going to avoid it from a betting standpoint, but the night is young, and we'll probably do some shots here or there. So we'll see if I end up throwing him on a bet or not. Who you got?
There you go. Love it, brother. But I don't love it as well because I'm going to kindly disagree. Although it is tough for me, like you said, from a betting perspective to put any money on our boy Ian Cutelaba because he's had a roller coaster, hasn't he? And when it comes to his fighting career, it is up and down and around and loop-de-loop and quick picture. And then you don't know how your face looks at the end because it's like, man, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, 30 years old, 17-9 record, 13 KOs though. I mean, Ian Cutelaba, when he gets in there and when he's able to get his mitts on you, boy, night. So that's my one thing that I'm relying on here is he's going up against a grizzled vet, an older opponent, 8-year age gap in a Felipe Lins, 38 years old, 17-5 record. So he has less experience than our boy Ian Cutelaba. 9 KO, so he's gonna have to stay away from the power in his that he possesses as well. But again, I mean, a lot of these losses that our boy Ian is, unfortunately taken over the last few years. I mean, if I list off some of these names, you might think, okay, well, I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, these are absolute dogs that he's going in there and facing, right? We're talking about a Jared Cannonier. Okay, makes sense. I mean, fair. We're talking about a Glover Teixeira. Okay, come on, an absolute animal. Fair enough. Magomed Ankalaev again. Yikes, it's a tough 2020 for our boy Ian Cutelaba. Ryan Spann, then Johnny Walker. I mean, come on, y'all. And then a Kennedy Nzechukwu, which isn't as impressive, but it's a murderer's row, ladies and gentlemen. These are all ranked opponents. These are all staples in the light heavyweight division. So I'm not going to put them past Eon, excuse me. But at 30 years old, man, it's crazy to think that he's still this young. He still has a lot of real estate in front of him, unlike his opponent, Felipe Lins. And that's the only thing that I'm really banking on here is that he has the youth on his side, is that he has been in there across the opponent, across the octagon with some absolute savage opponents. That's what I was trying to say. So I'm going to lean on boy Eon. Am I going to bet it? No. Because although I love his face-to-face weigh-ins and everything and some of those antics, and I love the way he fights, boy, I'd be better off flipping a coin. And that'd probably be what this fight's going to go down. But I'm excited for it. And like you said, this is the early prelim headline. But, man, I mean, this and that co-main and Michelle Beheda versus Michael Oleksiak, These are two bangers, and we're just getting started, y'all. Might need a shot just to keep up, man. Let's go.
Gotta agree with the chat here, addressing the last fight here. Cutelaba has got a bit of that Michael Johnson thing, where he has moments of great potential, followed by fumbles. No, 100%. I call it the Reggie Bush effect, like he looks really, really good in college. You think he's going to go on to be like one of the biggest NFL players of all time. And then, he just sometimes cashes checks with his mouth that his ass can't cash, or writes checks with his mouth that his ass can't cash. Iwan Cutelaba is definitely that guy. Inconsistent, but flashes of brilliance for sure. Albeit flashes in the pan, right? We've made it through the early prelims, folks. We've done it. We are about a third of the way through the car already. Give it up for the turkey for those beautiful breakdowns so far. Honestly, you have been just knocking it out of the park so far. I got to give you your props, man. As you always do. So moving into the preliminary fights, this one is it's something that we've seen all too often, if I'm being honest with you. It is a bit of a passing of the guard. It is the old dog versus the young dog. It is the old junkyard dog. Just getting ready to come in against, what I call a young, hungry lion. Okay, so you got Kyler Phillips, the Matrix, a.k.a. the Gerber baby with a man's body, coming in against Pedro Munoz, who is just a man. I mean, young Punisher. He should really drop the young and just go by the Punisher, because dude's not young anymore, right? He's 37 years of age. He's fighting a young man, though. He's fighting a 28-year-old who stands 2 inches taller than him and has a whopping, let's do the math. 7 fucking inches of reach on him here, folks. That's a lot of reach that he's got. So hefty reach advantage for Kyler Phillips. But that being said, I'm going with young Punisher, folks, or rather not so young Punisher. There's multiple reasons for this, right? It's, for me, the main reason is going to be the strength of schedule and the strength of resume. So this guy, Kyler Phillips, right? He's lost to Brad Katona, who, I mean, that was the best I could do as far as that impression. I feel like Mad Max Meridian does it much better. But he lost to Brad Katona. He lost to Victor Henry. He lost to Raulian Paiva. And I mean, if that name sounds familiar, Raulian Paiva, that's the guy that Sean O'Malley just absolutely murdered in one round. It's the guy that Sergey Morozov beat by unanimous decision in his most recent outing. And it's also a guy that Kai Kara-France went out there and got a split decision win over on the Adesanya versus Silva card. So he also has a loss to Rogerio Bontorin. So more losses than wins in the UFC overall for this guy. And he has a win over Kyler Phillips. That's one of the few wins that he does have in the UFC. So that tells you quite a bit. I will tell you that Kyler Phillips does have a win over Raoni Barcelos. That is an extremely impressive win. That tells me that he does have a gas tank, that he does have grappling skills. And not to mention, I think if he went out there and got a quick finish on Raoni Barcelos, I wouldn't be as impressed as I would be, or as I am rather, because he got this decision win, unanimous decision win over Raoni. That is very impressive. And his opponent, Pedro Young Punisher Munoz, is coming off of a loss. However, I like the style of Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Matrix Phillips. Pedro likes to stand very low. He's a short guy. He likes to stand low and just really like throw hooks and move forward. He's got kind of an old style boxer fight. Now, I thought he was doing really well in that Sean O'Malley fight up until he got poked in the eye. And the Chris Gutierrez win looked really, really nice. The Chito Vera loss, not a huge deal. I thought that was a pretty close fight. Granted, I definitely gave it to Marlon Vera, but I mean, the last guy he fought is now fighting the champion and has a win over him. The guy before that he lost to is Dominic Cruz, who's a fucking all-time legend. Last guy I lost to before that was Jose Aldo, who again, all-time legend. So I just think the people that he's had to face, Aljamain Sterling, Brett Johns, John Dodson, Cody Garbrandt, Frankie Edgar, Jimmy the Terror Rivera, he's fought a who's who. So if he's lost to some of those names, who cares, bro? Who cares? He's going to come out there and he's going to beat this young child, Kyler Matrix Phillips. And I mean, I like Kyler Phillips. I think he's a solid guy. I think he might even train with one of our boys, Ian. But I digress. My shot and my bet is against Kyler Phillips in this one. Who do you have? Do you have Pedro Munoz or do you have Phillips? And tell me why you're going with the young guy, you fucking young guy.
Well, that is on brand for me, right? Typically, I will come here and say, hey, there's a younger guy, more than 7 years. It's about 60 some odd percentage that they're most likely going to win. But not today, Junior. Not today, Junior. That's right, brother. That's right. Ball don't lie. Check marks don't lie, man. I am sticking to my guns on this one. I'm going with the old buck. Pedro Munoz, man, it's something about him. It is, like you said, he's a man in there. He's 37 years old, but he's got a 20-8 record with 5 KOs, 8 subs. Very well-rounded fighter. Very, very good. He made his UFC debut back in 2014, y'all. So he's been here for a decade. 10-8 record. It's up and down. I mean, let's be honest. It's up and down. But he's in one of the most talented divisions in the UFC. 1, 2, he's always doesn't have a day off. It's always going up against the top tier talent. And there's no difference here with the Kyler Phillips in front of him. 28 years young, 11-2 record. And the thing with me and why I'm just hesitant is I haven't seen enough from him. And maybe this is, a little clickbaity of me to say. And again, I always come on here and I try to do nothing but rain compliments, give people their flowers. He's got a great record, but I need to see him beat somebody of substance. To the point that you made, hey, if he beats Pedro, I'll become a fan 100%, because Pedro's the guy. He's been in there with the who's who, with the two guys in the main event of this same card. So that says a lot. And he held his own. Obviously, not getting a win is still not ideal, but he's been in there with the who's who in the division. And so I do think, and when you watch him, it's like he's never out of it, to your point. Like, it's like he's kind of pesty in the way that he's always right there. He's busy. He's leg kicking you. He stays technically sound. I think maybe that's the best way to put it. And he always has a chance. Now, Kyler can probably drown him out. He can use that youth against our boy Pedro here. And that's maybe typically why I like to go with the younger guy. Because when it comes to skills, if all things are the same, the young guy's probably going to have a little bit more juice, a little bit more to fight for, a little bit less wear on those tires, a little bit of a better chin, however you want to put it down. I mean, you can kind of come up with any formulation in your head here. But the reality is, I had to put my money where my mouth is. And man, I'm going to take the old buck, man. It's weird to say. It pains me a little bit, but you're getting Pedro at plus odds, plus 185, maybe plus 170, somewhere in that range. Sign me up, man. I think I like it.
Well, color me impressed. I love it when we agree. And I mean, yeah, he's persistent. He's strong. He's durable. He's the fucking young Punisher, man. And I'm here for it. I am definitely here for it. I'm excited to see this matchup. I think that this will be a huge test. And like you said, if Kyler Phillips gets past Pedro Munoz, color me impressed. I'll be a very big fan. Someone I am a big fan of, and this can be our first shot of the show here. I'm gonna go ahead and pour up a shot of this Rare Stash in honor of Dustin Poirier. Rare Stash bourbon number 3. This is Dustin Poirier's bourbon here.
Let's go.
It's the good stuff, So yeah, this next fight is one that I'm extremely excited about. And yeah, I agree, Mad Max Meridian. I agree. It also throws me off that Phillips has beat Song Yadong. It just, like, the math doesn't math.
Song Yadong is still only 26 years old, so I'm assuming it was probably when he was like 20 or 21. Probably got a really
I'm telling you, dude,
raw
like,
version
the
of him.
math, it doesn't math. It's not mathing. And on that note, yeah, 2021, not that long ago. Jeez. Cheers to MMA Anomalies.
Ooh, that's nice.
Ooh wee, burns. It burns so good. So moving into the next one, we have Mateos Gamer Gamro coming in against RDA Rafael dos Santos Nano. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one. Tell us who you got and how you see it going.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, man. And we got our boy Matisse Gamro. I like how you said that better. Our boy Dustin's training partner. He is coming out of American Top Team, 33 years old, 23-2 record. Super, super impressive. And dude, his game. I mean, this guy is an absolute machine. He goes out there and he just gets the job done. Averages over 4 takedowns a fight. He is on a 2-fight win streak. One of those being over Rafael Fiziev. Granted, want to put a little asterisk over it because he did injure his knee during that fight. You never know what can happen over 25 minutes. Although you do think, based on Matisse's pressure, he was not successful with every one of the takedowns, but that's not really his game. He's not a calculated, I'm going to time this perfectly and score and maybe take you down once or twice. No. He's going to shoot maybe about 10 to 15 times and eventually take you down 4 to 5. And that kind of pressure, that kind of guy in front of you is a pest to deal with. It is a trouble for everyone. And in my notes here, I put that it's a neutralizer, right? It's like the Joker in your deck that it's unorthodox, it's unprecedented. You just don't know what to do with it. It trumps anything you want to try to do. So for me, as much as I love Rafael Dos Anjos, and man, at 39 years old, 32-15 record, dude looks solid. I mean, he looks fantastic out there still, right? I mean, I would have loved to have seen maybe a past version of RDA go in here and try to have an answer for the grappling and the wrestling that Gamrot's going to come out and bring in this fight. But the reality is at RDA at this stage, I know I just was hyping up the older veteran, but I can't take him on this one, right? There is a little bit of a changing of the guard, and what RDA likes to do to his opponents is what Gamrot likes to do now, right? I mean, vintage RDA is gonna piece you up a little bit, but he's gonna grapple you, he's gonna clinch you, he's gonna take you down, he's just gonna give you a good dose of mixed martial arts. But that's what Matisse does, and he just does it at a better version, at a version that has just a better gas tank, deeper gas tank, and just more explosive and more hungry again. And with a 23-2 record, what that tells me at this stage in his career is that he doesn't make mistakes, doesn't have an off night, has not come across somebody that has been able to solve this jigsaw puzzle that is his game. And again, I think it is because he's such a dominant wrestler, but he's constantly getting better on his feet to complement that, because he's training with one of the best boxes in the UFC and Dustin Diamond Poirier. We know this, man. So yeah, I'm leaning my boy Matisse Gamrot here, but want to give RDA his roses, and I'm hoping that he can show out. I expect it to go 15 minutes, but yeah, after this, I think it's tough. I think, maybe you have a couple good vintage fights left in you, maybe with like a Nate Diaz or somebody that's of that elder regime. But yeah, these young boys, man, at the top, it's a young man's game, and Gamrot's a freaking machine. Similar to a Merab, similar to, that's kind of it. I mean, they're cut from a different vein, these guys. So curious to hear your breakdown and further insights on how you see this one going down.
Yeah, man. How I see this one going down, I mean, pretty much the same as you. I think these young guys are no joke. Mateusz Gamrot is a gamer, just like his nickname says. I think it's a very apropos nickname, and I think RDA is a gamer himself, but he's also a gamer that's had well over 40 fights. And that's a lot of wear and tear. That's a lot of tread on the tires that has been eaten away. That's a lot of losses. I mean, you see his record, right? You know he has 15 losses. He has almost as many losses as Mateusz has fights. That's a problem. That means his chin has been checked. That means his chin has been tested. And I think it's also worth noting that he constantly bounces up and down between lightweight and welterweight, right? And because of that, what do we end up seeing happen but him end up losing more consistently at lightweight, right? So when he was at lightweight more recently, right, he fought Rafael Fiziev, lost in the 5th round via left hook knockout. Before that, he fought Renato Moicano and lost. He won that one via unanimous decision. Before that, he did a grappling match with Donald Cerrone and lost via armbar in overtime. So, and then before that, he got a win via split decision over Paul Felder, which, I mean, you could have scored that fight either way, right? So when he's at lightweight, he hasn't performed to his best abilities recently, and I think that has a lot to do with the weight cut, him aging, etc. Let's see what Mad Max said here in the chat. Cutting more weight generally isn't great for the gas tank. Definitely not good against a dude like Gamrot. Dude, hive mind. The hive mind is hive minding again here, Mad Max. That's exactly the point that I was getting ready to make, is looking at his most recent 5-6 fights. When he does cut to lightweight, he does tend to gas. He looks very tired in the last round, whether it's the 3rd round or the 5th round. He's breathing heavily. And against somebody that goes rounds every day, every week, day in, day out with Dustin the Diamond Poirier, that you just don't want to get tired against this guy. Mateusz Gamrot is a freak of nature. He's 33 years of age, 5'8", 155-pound stud. And I mean, he does have a half-inch reach advantage which for somebody like Mateusz, that not only is a decent striker, but an even better grappler, that half inch is going to pay dividends because that means it's going to be that much easier for him to clasp hands behind you around those legs and take you for a ride. And it's also going to be a lot easier for him to reach from point A to point B, whether it's with a jab, a cross, a hook, etc. It's just got bad news bears written all over it if your name is Rafael dos Santos, in my opinion. I'm taking the gamer in this one. I will be sprinkling a little bit of a bet on this. Moving into the next one. Caitlin Chookagian coming in against Macy, the future Barber. And we got a bit of a name change here. Caitlin Chookagian is the former. The latter is now Caitlin Cerminara. Not Salmonella. Cerminara. Blonde fighter has had a little bit of a layoff here, right? We haven't seen her in there since 2022 against Manon Fior. And obviously she lost that unanimous decision to Manon Fior. Now here's the thing, right? We haven't seen her in there for 2 years. I'm going to just come right out and address the elephant in the room. The reason we have not seen her was made public this week on Wednesday at Media Day. She said she had a couple of miscarriages. They were trying to have a child. And obviously you don't want to fight while you're doing that stuff. So she's had a very, very tough couple of years. She's taken a little bit of a layoff as a result. I don't like this fight for her. I don't like this fight for her at all. Macy Barber has been grinding her fucking ass off. When Macy first came in, I thought she was arrogant. I thought she was cocky. And then I started to watch her fight more and more, and I became a little bit more of a fan. And I also met her last year at International Fight Week, and I became even more of a fan. And I truly don't like this fight for Blonde Fighter. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. She is the litmus test when it comes to being a gatekeeper in this weight class. She is the gatekeeper. If Macy Barber gets past her, this could very well spell a title shot for her in the very near future. I think it could be time. So how do I see this fight going? That's the question. Now, Macy Barber is giving up 3 inches in reach here, but that's okay. She usually fights with a bit of a reach deficit, and she does the thing where, she swings at ghosts, and that's always fun to watch. But I digress. All laughs and jokes aside. I do think that Macy Barber is going to go out there and get it done. I think she'll close the distance early. I think she'll do some dirty boxing from the clinch, hit the body a couple times, and then change levels, hit a quick single leg, turn out, and dominate. Probably get like 2 to 3 minutes of control time for at least 2 out of the 3 rounds and secure a pretty semi-dominant decision win. I don't see her going out there and getting a crazy knockout or a crazy finish. Very hard to put away Blonde Fighter, Caitlin Cerminara, but I do think that she's going to go out there and get the decision win. Nano, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I would agree with you, brother. And no need to add too much more other than, quickly give Caitlin Chookagian Cerminara or Marinara. I don't know. I just want to throw that in there. But 35 years old, man. Thank you. Maybe I'm just getting hungry. But yeah, been in the UFC since 2016, and she's been a staple. Like you said, a little bit of that quote-unquote gatekeeper since she's never actually had the title. But she's fought just about everybody, right? Irene Aldana, Jennifer Maia twice, Jessica Ai, Valentina Shevchenko, the ex-champion, Jessica Andrade, Amanda Ribas most recently, and got a win over her. And then Sexy Beast, the freaking animal, Manon Fior. I don't know if her name's Sexy Beast or not. I might have added that in there on my own. I apologize. Or maybe not. But no, I mean, she's an animal. She is next level. She is Manon Fior. That is absolutely a great example of the new age, new generation fighter at the top of the heap right now. And like you said, obviously, Caitlin coming off not only coming off that loss, but then just coming off a rough couple years as well, health-wise, personal, life-wise. You don't love that. At this stage, at 35 years old, that was kind of the last couple of years where maybe your time to, I guess maybe make one more push to a title. But she still does have that number 4 next to her name. But again, she has Macy the future, who I think the future has arrived to the present. Barber. Man, she's a fun fighter. She is the betting favorite here. She's still only 25 years young, which is crazy to think. But she's fighting with Team Alpha Male, so she's around a lot of savvy veterans. And the one thing that I do want to say, shout out Team Alpha Male, based out of Sacramento. But Uriah Faber and them boys, man, Cody Garbrandt to name an ex-champion that they've grown at a young age. They know what they're doing with these young fighters. They're growing them the right way. They're feeding them. They're getting them the right soil, the right nutrients, and these flowers are blossoming. So I think Macy's the latest example of that. We'll be talking more about Team Alpha Male later on tonight. But yeah, give me Macy Barber. The future has arrived. And all rooting for Caitlin outside of the octagon and her health and everything there. Obviously, maybe just got married or at least finally decided to change the name. So congrats there. But yeah, I think it's Macy's time. It's her thing.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong there, my friend. I do think it's Macy's time. She is the future after all. So moving into the next fight, speaking of the future, we have Curtis Razor Blades coming in against Jailton Almeida. I mean, this fight has chaos written all over it, in my opinion. This is going to be the biggest test of Jailton Almeida's career thus far. But before I take this train off the rails, no, give us your breakdown on this one.
Oh, you want me to take it off them first? Okay. Well, yeah, brother, I'm excited, man. This is an absolute banger of a fight. Another clash of two heavyweights going at it here. The main event of the prelims. That's how freaking stacked this card is. This isn't even the main card yet, y'all. But we got Curtis Blades going in here, 33 years old, 17-4 record, 12 KOs. I was going to say they both are minus 110 odds. They are just about a dead pick 'em, y'all. So flip that coin. Probably who you're going to end up with here. But, man, you want to talk about a gatekeeper. You want to talk about the last henchman before the final boss, the right-hand man. That's what Curtis Blades feels like, right? He's been in the UFC for a long time. He's been a staple here, man. And I do think he has an opportunity to get another crack at the UFC title. Obviously, he does have a win over the champion, which I'll explain here in a second. But Curtis, man, he's been in the UFC since 2016. So again, another savvy veteran that we've seen and grown to love here in the UFC, going up against a young buck that is hungry and wants to take that momentum, wants to take that fandom, wants to take everything he has. But Curtis Blades, 12-4 record. He has wins over an Alistair Overeem, a Mark Hunt, a Junior Dos Santos. Tell me if the nostalgia's kicking in yet. And then some of the new guys, Rosenstrike, and then the one, the only, the interim champion right now, Tommy Aspinall. It was by a leg injury, so maybe we shouldn't necessarily chalk it up as a quote-unquote he beat him, he's better than Tom, but a win's a win, and that's what happens. But he does have 2 losses out of those 4 to a Francis Ngannou, and one of them being his debut, which you hate to see, and then the same thing running it back years later. I digress. 2 other losses to a Derek Hot Balls Lewis and a Sergey Pavlovich, the heavy hitter. I don't know, man. Are you smelling that? Are you using your eyes? Are you seeing any themes here, ladies and gentlemen? I'll give you a second to think about it, but all those names I just listed are freaking big monsters with heavy power, and that's exactly what Jailton Almeida is, okay? Can he get it done? Can he be number 5 on that list? I think so. I do, man. He's 32 years old, 20-2 record. I was surprised to see he has more fights than our boy Curtis Blades. 7 KOs, 12 submissions. That is 19 out of 20 wins, 99% finish rate, y'all. Give me those grades in middle school and high school and in grade school, man. I needed that. Guy's good. He's very, very well rounded. And I do have written down that stylistically, Curtis does have an answer for everywhere it goes. Like, Curtis is a well-rounded fighter. He can strike well. He does have good defense. He's smart with the clinch game. He does have good wrestling, both offensive and defensive. Is he a black belt on the belt? I've never necessarily seen him in that realm. That's probably where Jailton might have a little bit of an edge. But how is he going to get there? And is he going to want to go through, the freaking glass floor and the fire pit and the alligators? Does he want to go through all of this ruckus to try to get to that favorable position? I don't think so. I think he's already favored. He's wanted to put his lights out. I think he's going to be seeking that finish. He wants to break through and get to the heap, get to the top, make himself the obvious choice here. And boy, I mean, does he have a case, right? He's on a 7-fight win streak. He beat Derek Lewis and Rosenstreak. I mean, just a little bit more MMA math here. I think he can beat Curtis Blades as well. I think he has the recipe. I think he can do it, man. I think he might be able to put him out too. I don't know if I'm going to bet on it, but the dude, I mean, 19 out of his 20 wins have come with the finish. Curtis Blades can push him to the limit, and he will. But a late finish wouldn't surprise me here, brother. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at a late finish either, man. So you're leaning Curtis Blades.
Oh, no. I'm going Jailton Almeida. Come on. Don't be crazy. Don't be crazy.
No. I'm just kidding. I'm leaning Jailton Almeida in this one, too. But I'm not as confident in this one as I was in his last, 3 or 4. I just truly think that this is going to be a tough match for Jailton Almeida. And we've seen him look really, really dominant, but why does he look dominant? He typically looks dominant because he's on top. He's dominating these grappling exchanges, and he's finding his way into a dominant position from the top. What happens, though, when somebody else is more grappling and heavy than him? What happens when he finds himself on bottom? Is he going to be able to Tony Ferguson style elbow someone from the bottom, or, hit somebody with crafty striking like a Carlos Condit has in the past? I don't know. So for me, it's not quite as clear cut and one-sided as it usually would be. So it's tough, but I am leaning towards Jailton Almeida. I could see him getting a late finish here, but more likely than not, if he does end up getting a win, it'll end up being a decision win over Curtis Blades. Curtis is hard to put away. And I mean, he's crafty. He's a crafty veteran. I'm afraid for the grappling exchanges here. I don't want to say the word fraud check, but that's what a lot of people are looking to this fight to become, is a fraud checking of Jailton Almeida. I don't think he's a fraud. I do think that he's still very fresh, very new to the sport. And with that being said, that leaves a lot of room for openings, a lot of room for the young man to go out there and, not be exposed for being a fraud, but be exposed to new facets of the game of mixed martial arts that he hasn't encountered quite yet. And I do think that Curtis Blades presents those. He's a big, strong guy with abnormally good grappling for the heavyweight division. So it'll be like the Juggernaut versus Wolverine, or the Juggernaut versus Blob, an immovable object versus an unstoppable object. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that this is going to be one of the more think heavy fights. I think that we're going to see a lot of fight IQ on display in this one, because these guys are two very intellectual fighters, especially in the heavyweight division, very technical guys. I'm looking forward to it, but my money's on Jailton Almeida, just barely.
Yeah, me too, brother. Super excited for it. This is a prelim main event that you absolutely want to be tuned in for, y'all. And it is for free, so you don't have to pay for it. Please tune in if you maybe aren't advantageous or, don't want to drop any big bucks. But, man, this is going to be a fun one. Like you said, brother, wouldn't be surprised that Curtis Blades wins this fight. It is a toss-up. It's a literal pick-em, according to the odd makers. And unfortunately, I feel like that for a lot of these upcoming fights. But that's a good sign, right? That means these fights are absolutely competitive. That means we have great going against great. But that is the thing, right? It's someone we're used to seeing. And if I'm being honest, half the time I've seen Curtis Blades fight, I felt like part of me didn't want to see him win, or part of me just thought, oh, he's going to get his ass whooped. But he freaking finds a way to win, dude. He's like that guy that's like a little out of shape, a little bit older on the basketball court pickup game, but he's just banking every three. He just has absolute stroke. It's like, dude just gets it done. But Jailton, when you look at him, it's hard to bet against him. You want to root for him. And again, I think the big thing I keep asking myself, but you have to ask yourself as well. And you're seeing this narrative is, do you like the young guy with the hype, or do you like the seasoned veteran that maybe you've seen before? Kind of like more of that comfort food. Do you want, do you like your Chili's? Do you want your Applebee's, your Texas Roadhouse, your Olive Gardens? Or are you trying this new up and coming place, this new family owned spot that's trendy on Yelp? Oh, man, decisions, brother. Decisions, man. Maybe I'm just hungry, but either way, we're feasting, brother. I can't wait for this fight. Let's go.
My guy has talked about food like 3 times already. Get this guy a fucking sandwich, someone.
Hey, mate. Need some help.
Hey, man. Get this man a sandwich.
Milo.
Meatloaf, can of corn. He's fine. Dude, I mean, there's so many good fights on this card, and I feel like we are just blazing through this fucking breakdown companion here, because that's it for the prelims. We've already made it through the early prelims and the regular prelims, and now, without further ado, folks,
It's time
for the pay-per-view. UFC 299 is kicking off with a bang. We got Peter Yan coming in against Song Yadong, followed by Gilbert Burns and Jackie Three Names. Oh, and by the way, we also have the debut of one Michael Venom Page. You might know him as MVP. He's coming in against Big Mouth himself, Kevin Holland, followed by Benoit Saint-Denis, a.k.a. Benny St. Denis, coming in against Dustin the Diamond Poirier, who you might notice who we're going for already, judging by the shirts here. Big Poirier fans here. And then the main event of the evening, of course, Sugar Sean O'Malley coming in against Marlon Chito Vera. Oh, man, it is a stacked fucking card.
Stack a Rooney, brother. My goodness. This is double stack, triple stack. Big
Double
old stack of flapjacks. Come on, baby.
Stacked. Quad stacked. How about Jan speaking some English? That was cool. That was actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. That was actually pretty sick.
I like it.
Probably one of my favorite things this week as far as the media row. So, jumping into the main card. Starting off with Peter Yan, the man who speaks English now, coming in against Song Yadong, a man who also speaks English now and looks like the one of the villains from the Fast and the Furious movies with the new bleached hair. I like it. I think it's a good look for him. I also think everything he's done in the last 2 years has been a good look for him. He's just shown significant growth in the sport of mixed martial arts, but he's standing across from an absolute killer of a human being when it comes to Peter No Mercy Yan. The Kung Fu Kid will definitely have his work cut out for him on Saturday night. They have the exact same reach, the exact same weight, and just 1 inch difference on height going in favor of Song Yadong. I mean, this is a good old-fashioned pick'em, in my opinion. This is a very, very close matchup. But Song Yadong, I mean, against everybody not named Corey Sandhagen, he's looked really good, in my opinion. The Ricky Simone fight was definitely one where he showed a lot of impressing improvements in his game. And then the Chris Gutierrez fight just, again, leaps and bounds better every single time he's out there. Nano, who do you think wins this fight? And do you think that Song Yadong has grown enough to stand across from somebody like a Peter Yan?
That's really the question, right? That's really the question I'd ask. Again, the narrative of most of this fight card for most of these fights for $299 in Miami is, hey, are these young guys in this new generation, are they skilled enough? Are they at that point, right? It's like a father-son type thing. Is my son finally able to beat me in that foot race? Is he there yet? I don't know, man. I don't know. Actually, again, I kind of hinted at this, to be honest. I'm going to say Song Yadong is my choice. I do think he's grown. I do think he's at that point now. I do think he has what it takes. I think he has the confidence. I think he has that moxie. He obviously has the skills. He's had the skills since he's probably like 19 years old. The dude is next level talent, next level athleticism. And when you watch him in the octagon, I mean, my goodness, dude, you basically need a wrecking ball. You need a hammer. You need the SWAT team. You need Secret Service. You need just about everything to get this man out of there. He is an absolute beast. And again, would I be surprised if Peter wins? No. Why? Well, he is the Ben favorite. And it's weird, right? Like, I'm going to do a little bit of bouncing back and forth here, but Peter Yan, Piotr, 31 years old, 16-5 record, 7 KOs. He is minus 125 betting favorites right now. But I was trying to think of Peter Yan, right? Because he's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's lost 4 out of his last 5. And if I had to explain Peter Yan to us fellow sports fans, it's like Peter is to the UFC what the Bills are to the NFL. Peter's to the UFC what the Celtics are to the NBA, modern day. Peter's to the UFC what the Dodgers are to the MLB. Peter is to the UFC what the cover athlete is to Madden. He's got the curse, brother. I don't know what it is, man. He just can't get over the hump. I don't know if it was because he illegally kneed Aljamain Sterling in the head, and he got the bad juju, man. But my goodness, does he have bad luck? Because boy, is he great. I mean, he is the best fighter on a 3-fight losing streak you can name. And if you look at anything before that, I mean, my brother, he was a world beater. He was somebody that we were looking at as a pound for pound scariest dude on the freaking planet. I don't know if it's because he didn't speak any English at that time, as Sikotech pointed out, or it was because he was beating the dude like Jose Aldo. He's beating Jose Aldo's ass. He's beating everyone's ass. Corey Sandhagen. I mean, dude, it was all over the place. But boy, he's the modern day Bills. He's the modern day Dodgers. He's just, I don't know what it is, man. Just shit freaking luck. And it's going to keep going. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this guy, Petr Yan, who is a stud, who if you put him in any other organization, he's probably the champion at that weight class and could go into boxing and do absolute damage. And we are going to see some phenomenal boxing, but I do think the younger, the hungrier, and just the savvier, slicker mover in Song Yadong is going to find a way to get it done. 26 years young, 21-7 record. So he's almost at 30 fights and he's 26, 9 KOs. And it's the losses that he has, man. I mean, they speak for themselves. I mean, go put him on. Go watch his fight against Corey Sandhagen. And he had moments. It was a loss due to a stoppage because of a cut that he had. But like I said, I mean, he would have been in there without a limb and he would have still kept fighting. But this is another prodigy, again, coming out of Team Alpha Male, and I do think that's important. We talked with a UFC fighter, Garrett Armfield, earlier this week. Go check it out on YouTube's if you haven't already. But he mentioned having a good team around you. One of the most important things, man, having a good team around you can make you a champion or can make you an amateur that never gets out of the amateur circuit. Like that's real. Like you can have all the skills and you can go into any gym and probably see one or two guys that probably are skilled enough to be in the UFC. But why are they not there? Maybe because they're not getting the right coaching. Maybe they're not getting the right attention. And maybe they're not giving the right effort in the right areas. It's just like that transition from amateur baseball or your softball league on Fridays to the pros. It's a big jump. There's a lot of things that have to go right. I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but I'm all that to say, Song Yadong has been growing. He's been flourishing. And even in his losses, like even in his low moments, like he looks freaking good. I do think we're going to see some of the best boxing, some of the best fighting in this fight. We're not going to see any takedowns. I think we're going to see pure striking at its best. The Kung Fu Kid against No Mercy, Petr Yan, already going back and forth. This is going to be a fun one, y'all. I am so excited for this fight, if you can't already tell. But yeah, give me some Yadong, Song Yadong. Give me the young guy, the young buck. Unfortunately, that's where, y'all know that's where I typically lean. Okay, I'm going with the younger guy here. I know it's only a 5-year difference, but again, go turn on the tape. He's legitimate. And the reality is that I think with Petr, two things. He does start a little slow, which I think is typically why he loses these 3-round fights. And just coming out 3 losses, like I think a little bit of your confidence there. Again, I'm gonna lean back into that moxie because Yadong Song, he might as well be undefeated. Like he's carrying himself like he's already the champion. I love that. So I'm leaning the young buck here, but talk to me, brother. Are you with me or are you against me?
Well, I'm with you, man. I'm actually with you. I know it's probably a little bit shocking, but we agree again. And here we are. Song Yadong, the Kung Fu Kid. I think he gets it done. And I mean, you mentioned the bad luck of No Mercy, Petr Yan. I mean, his luck has no mercy, right? But that being said, I wouldn't say it's even bad luck. The Aljamain Sterling thing was his own fault. The illegal knee in round 4. And a lot of people think like, oh man, that knee really changed everything. He was winning. He was really dominating that fight. No, he was not. He was losing that fight. He was down 3 rounds. He was down 3 rounds. So like, he needed that. He was definitely taking over in the 4th round. He was dominating the 4th round. So the knee was not necessary in the 4th round, but I mean, he cheated. He did an illegal move. That's what happens when you do that. So he was disqualified for good reason. I wouldn't say it's bad luck so much as it's just bad form. After that, Aljamain Sterling again gets the win. Sean O'Malley gets the win. Merab Dvalishvili gets the win. And honestly, if you ask me who I thought won the Corey Sandhagen fight, thought Corey Sandhagen should have got the win. So if you ask me about Peter Yan, I would tell you that currently the guy is on a 5-fight losing streak. And now he's coming in against the Kung Fu Kid, Song Yadong, who arguably is at the top of his game. He is in his prime. And I mean, the Kung Fu Kid got his nickname from the California Kid. So that's fun. You love to see that, right? So I think the overhand right that he throws, I think the way that he has distance control is going to prove to be a problem for Peter Yan. Peter Yan has really, really nice Muay Thai style. The body kicks, the inside leg kicks are really, really complementary to everything that he does. They set up the next move for him. I simply think he's going to have trouble getting off on Saturday. I think he's going to have trouble finding his range on Saturday, and I think he's going to have trouble staying on his feet on Saturday, my guy. I think that Song Yadong is going to prove to be a lot for him, and I truly think that what we're going to end up seeing happen is the first finish loss for Peter Yan. I think Song Yadong gets it done inside the distance. I think he gets a finish on Peter Yan, and it will be the first time he will ever have been finished via submission or knockout in mixed martial arts. So,
oh boy,
that's my call.
Oh boy, no mercy on our boy Petr Yan here.
Fun fact: he has been finished before he went pro. It was his very last amateur fight from Goga Shamatava, and it was via spinning back fist in round 2. I could see a spinning back fist landing on him, or just a crazy overhand landing to just drop him for the finish, followed by some ground and pound shots. But yeah,
we're gonna see we're gonna see a few spinning strikes this fight. I feel like
some spinning shit,
bunch of spinning shit, man. But boy, these guys are studs. I'm excited. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Moving on into the next one, we got Gilbert Burns, Dorino, rocking the Doreen Fro this week, coming in against old Jackie Three Names, Jack Della Maddalena, which is just a very, very fun fight. Man, are we on the same boat in this one too?
I think
Jackie Three Names?
No, man. And this is another toss-up. Again, I can be convinced otherwise. I typically don't take the older bucks here, right? Y'all know my style, man. I typically don't. But not a lot of these older bucks are a Gilbert Dorino Burns. And that's my only thing. I know he's 37 years old, but he's 22-6. He's got 6 KOs, 9 subs at plus 150 odds too. A part of that just seemed too juicy to pass up. And look at that, man. We are pretty consistent, but we're going to diverge a little bit here. And again, this is why, okay? Yes, Gilbert might have lost a few fights here and there, okay? Yes, he may have gotten knocked out by a Kamaru Usman, okay? And again, we're talking about a champion. We're talking about somebody at that time was at the peak of performing, of performance, peak performance for a fighter, like at that stage. Now, Jack Della Maddalena, 16-2 record, 11 KOs. He is coming off a win over Kevin Holland, loudmouth, big mouth, our boy. But man, I mean, and find out Australia, one of the next prodigies to come out of there. And might I add, one of the best boxing. I mean, some of the best boxing you can possibly find in the UFC. We're talking about mixed martial arts here. We're not talking about boxing, okay? If it was just boxing and they had the big gloves on, I think JDM does take Gilbert Burns to school. We've seen Gilbert Burns get hurt, but this is not a boxing match. This is a mixed martial art match. And the pressure that Gilbert applies and his IQ and his ability to throw the leg kicks, rip the body, go upstairs, feint, move forward. This new afro look, I like it, man. Little vintage, little soul kind of look to him. Shout out to all the hippies from the 70s, man. He's groovy out there. But I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to find Gilbert getting into his groove, staying in the pocket, making it a muddied up matchup. And we haven't seen Jack Della Maddalena get pushed back like that. We haven't seen him be I want to say the aggressor off his back foot. I don't know how you do that, but can he land sufficient shots? Can he land with purpose and power when you got someone like Gilbert rushing in front of you? And he's going to try to take you down. He's going to try to test your game there because let's be real. If it gets to the ground, I mean, I don't know what kind of ground game JDM has. I'm sure it's decent, but Gilbert is elite when it comes to jiu-jitsu. So I not only do I do think that's just like a territory where if JDM finds himself there at all, it is nuclear. It is hit the red button. It is break the glass and pull the lever. Like I am swimming up a stream here without a paddle. So because that can still happen, because I just can't see JDM just outclassing Gilbert on his feet. Like I just can't see it, right? I mean, Gilbert went 15 minutes with Kamzat, and I thought he won that fight. That's one of the best matchups I've seen in a long time. I just can't get that thought out of my head. Got to go Gilbert Dornino. One more time, man. He's still at the top of his game. I'm thinking of a Glover Teixeira. Some of these Brazilians just have a way to get that second stride, that second wind in there as they approach 40 for some reason. And he's a dad, so maybe it's that dad strength that I'm also going to have to throw into the pot here. I know you like that one. So give me a little Gilbert Burns. Give me that dad strength and the dad throw as well. But again, if JDM wins, wouldn't be surprised. And that means that he's here. That means he's legit. That means that it's not just a fun guy that you love his boxing. It's like, no, he's a fucking legitimate contender. So I got to see it until I see it, right? Got to believe it won't believe until I see it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Get me out of here, brother. Oh, this is a fun one, bro.
I mean, I love it. I love it. I love the enthusiasm. I'm going to go ahead and tag in here. I mean, I got to disagree with you, my guy. Jackie 3 names. Jack Della Maddalena, man. I know the Basil Hafez fight, it made him look a little bit maybe weaker than it should have, but then he went out there and he put the hurt on Kevin Holland, right? He got the split decision over Kevin Holland. I thought he did enough to win that. And I mean, before that, he got the win over our guy, Randy Rude Boy Brown, who I'm a huge fan of. And Randy Brown, granted, was doing everything right in that fight. All it took was a half second of a mistake for him to end up getting a rear naked choke put on him by Jackie 3 names. So you're talking about a brown belt that we've seen get submissions in the UFC. I get it. Gilbert Dornino Burns, he's solid. He's strong. And he's got a solid grappling game. Mad Max can probably break that part down a little bit better than either you or I. But I digress. I think Jackie 3 names has enough skill to keep it on the feet. Let's see what he says here. Potential for JDM to have a big showing if he wins against a guy like Burns. Exciting fight. 100% agree. If he's able to pull this off, if he's able to get a win like this over a big name like Burns, puts him right into title contention. Burns fought for the title just a year and a half ago, right? Like not that long ago. So if he goes out there and he gets it done in exciting fashion, title shot. If he goes out there and gets a grindy, windy win, one fight away from a title shot. Like this is a win-win situation for JDM. If he goes out there and lasts a long time and loses a windy decision, he's still like a fight or two away from a title shot. So Jackie 3 names can't lose here. Meanwhile, Gilbert Dornino Burns, he needs a win. The guy has had a little bit of a tough go of things, in my opinion here. The loss to Khamzat Chimaev, the loss to Kamaru Usman, the loss to Bilal Muhammad. I mean, the hits keep on coming, right? So it's tough for him. His last big wins are over Stephen Thompson, Neil Magny, and Jorge Masvidal, who are all on the wrong side of Father Time and all on the wrong end of the top 15 of the rankings here. So Dornino needs a big win. He needs a way to bounce himself right back into that contention. And if he's able to get it done over a big, phenomenal up-and-comer like Jackie 3 names, Jack Della Maddalena, I think that does that for him. So both of these guys decisively need a win, but I think JDM is going to take this. I think the boxing is going to be too crisp. And if Gilbert Burns decides to make this a stand-up fight or continue to let this be a stand-up fight, which we've seen him do in the past when he shouldn't, could be a bad night for him. I got Jackie 3 names on this one. He's part of a 2-leg parlay for me that I think is going to be an easy hit. Calling it the best boxer in MMA parlay. We'll get into that in 2 fights. Moving on into the next one, though. We got Big Mouth himself coming in against Michael Venom Page. This fight is one that I've been very excited about. Before we jump into it, let's see what Mad Max said here one time. I feel like there's a potential for that second option, the grindy, smothering fight if it goes Burns' way. I got to agree with that turkey, I think, mayhaps. All right, well, you can agree with the turkey all day, and that's fine. I won't be upset about it. He's pretty good at this whole betting thing, and, you know, that's why I picked him as the co-host here. He's got the skills to pay the bills, folks. So, not mad at it if he gets a win and I don't. As long as one of us wins, we all win here on the No Filter Show. So, with that being said, we got Mr. MVP, Michael Venom Page, making that UFC debut. My goodness, my gracious me. This is an extremely fun fight. Michael Venom Page is somebody who we've seen in Bellator, knocking people out cold, cracking skulls, literally cracking skulls, caving them in, and then rolling Pokeballs towards those people that he just cracked the skull of during the Pokemon Go phase. And we've seen Kevin Holland just take like 5 fights in 5 months' time and talk a bunch of trash in the middle of every one of those fights, and just look like an absolute stud in all of those fights. So this one is one of those fights that's just going to answer a lot of questions. Is Michael Venom Page that good, or was he just made to look good based on who he was fighting? The level of competition that you go against truly makes a difference when you're inside of that cage. So I look forward to this. I think it's fairly obvious who I'm leaning towards in this one. I definitely think Big Mouth goes out there and gets it done. I think he's going to crush the Can Crusher. I think it is what it is. Kevin Holland is a master of range control. He's going to keep him at the end of his jab. You think that MVP is the master, but he's also coming in at about a 2-inch reach disadvantage here to someone who's just as good, if not better, with range control and has significantly better grappling. So, and by the way, he's also 5 years younger than MVP. So Kevin Holland is better everywhere this fight goes. I could see a submission, a Darce choke I could see happening. I don't know why. I have a weird feeling he could Darce him. If not a Darce or just like a sneaky submission, I could also see him just knocking him out at the end of a cross.
I like it, brother. I like it. No, this is a fun matchup, man. And again, this is a great treat for us UFC fans. And if you're a degenerate MMA fan like us all here that's probably watching this, you're familiar with the Michael Venom Page, right? You've seen him and his work in Bellator and just the type of fighter that he is. And he's gotten the nickname Venom. He's really leaned into that. But if we're being honest, he might have one of the best highlight reels in the game. I mean, again, it hasn't been the UFC, so a little bit of an asterisk, but dude is an absolute finisher. He's fun to watch. He has spent a lot of his time, obviously, in Bellator, like I mentioned, but he started his Taekwondo career at the prime age of like 6 or 7. The UFC Countdown was a really fun episode to watch if you haven't already, but you'll learn a little bit more about him. No spoilers. I know you haven't watched it yet. But he comes from a family and a life of fighting. So that is exciting to me. And I'm excited that he is in the UFC finally. It's a good treat, like I mentioned, because, you know, a Bellator crossover hasn't happened that often, right? A Ben Askren, to name somebody, a Michael Chandler, to name another one who was a champion in another organization, to come over here and test the waters. Granted, he is a little bit on the older side. So my fear, although I love my boy Big Mouth and that's where I'm leaning and that's where I'm betting, but my fear is, you know, Michael Chandler and Dan Hooker kind of scenario where maybe I'm just undermining this Bellator guy who is a fun striker. And when you turn on the tape, it's like, my goodness, this dude is flashy. But again, who is it against, right? Who's the audience, right? I mean, you can do all these crazy things and be, you know, Michael Jordan in a swimming basketball pool, but like, come on, like, it's different here. This is levels. And that's why, like you mentioned too, in terms of the spacing, and you mentioned Kevin's ability to strike, I also want to reiterate the youth, because if this was a prime Michael Venom Page, if this was him 5 years ago and him and Holland were both 30, 31, I would feel a little different about this. But Michael Venom Page is somebody that relies on his ability to move in and out. And when he moves in and moves out to move back in, he throws, a flurry of strikes, and that seems to be his way to catch someone off guard or kind of blitz his opponent. Very one-dimensional, and not to oversimplify his striking, because it is very fun to watch. I love it. He's a great artistic fighter, but he does that often. He deploys that same thing every time. And I think when you get to the UFC, and if you're Kevin Holland and you have good coaching, you're going to drill into that, and you're going to get off the center line. You're going to be moving around. And again, you're Kevin Holland. Like, you have speed. You have really good footwork. You're spacing better than most. His jab is nuclear. And I mean, he can put a hurting on you, like from any position, any angle, on the ground, on your feet. Like, we're going to see some fun strikes, and I think it's going to be kind of similar. And he's faced off against a karate-esque kind of guy. I know Seaver Wonderboy Thompson, someone that's going to bounce around completely sideways, try to land some crazy kicks. Kevin's like, all right, I've seen this before. This ain't nothing new to me. And I think the UFC diehard fan in me wants to see him go out and beat the Bellator guy, kind of to rub it in their face a little bit. But more importantly, I think it's because Michael Venom Page, great fighter, but he's been knocked out. Go see what Douglas Lima did to him back in 2021. And there was a really good thing that Mad Max mentioned as well. And I'm going to talk about how busy these guys have been. I mean, Kevin Holland, 31 years old, 25-10 record, 14 KOs, 7 subs. Phenomenal, right? Now, let's take it down Michael Venom Page history of fights. He is, like I mentioned, 21-2, which is busy for a 36-year-old. 13 KOs, impressive. Since 2020, he had one fight then, one fight in 2021, two fights in 2021, excuse me. 1 in 22, 1 in 23. Has not fought since March of 2024. So he's taken about a year off. Now let's go over to our boy Kevin Holland. And again, to reiterate, since 2020, 5 fights Michael Venom Page has been in at 36 years old. Kevin Holland had 5 fights in 2020, period. He had more fights than he's had in that 1 year, calendar-wise, than Michael Venom Page has had in the last 4 years. I don't love that. I don't love that for my boy Michael Venom Page. Why has he not been more busy in Bellator? What is going on? Is it because he's getting older? Are there injuries? Does he not want to get paid? I love that he's coming out here and he's having some mocks and he's soaking everything in, and he's talking about the energy and things like that. But the reality is, Kevin Holland, although it's been up and down, he has had some losses. There's no doubt about that. But he's been so busy and so active. He's been getting better. He's been getting more patient. And he still has that power, and he has the speed. And Nolan, I think you know what happens, brother. When you got speed on your opponent, speed kills. I'm going to leave it there. Come on. Let's go.
All day, baby. Speed kills. Speed is the best ingredient to have in the mix of the martial arts. And I think Kevin Holland definitely will have the speed advantage. I think he'll have the reach advantage. And I know that he will have the skill advantage. He has fought a who's who in this weight class. And a who's who in the UFC. He's fought legends and up and comers, and across all the above, win or lose, he has learned. He has learned life lessons that will stick with him to the test of time. And I think that this fight is going to go almost identical to the way that the next fight is going to go. It's going to be a tale of experience, right? In this next fight, we got Dustin the Diamond Poirier coming in against Benoit Saint-Denis, the God of War. Benny St. Denis, the up-and-comer. Dustin the Diamond Poirier, though, he's fucking unbreakable. I got another shot poured and ready to go for this one, baby. You already know. We paid the cost to be the boss. Cheers to that. So, Dustin Poirier is getting ready to put it on him. And I digress. Dustin Poirier, he is somebody that has been in the UFC for well over a decade. He has fought a who's who, an absolute who's who. From everybody all the way down to Diego Brandao, to Yanti Medeiros, to Joe the Irish Dragon Duffy, to Lean Mean Bobby Green, to Jim Millers, to the Anthony Pettis of the world, to Justin Gaethje, who he has a win over, by the way, not just the head kick knockout loss. He fought Khabib. He fought Max Holloway twice. He fought Conor McGregor 3 times. He fought Eddie Alvarez twice. I mean, he not only fights these people, he fights them multiple times. Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, like Benny St. Denis has fought one of the Bonfim brothers, which we've seen be proven to be quitters. He made one of them quit in the first round. Shocker. He also fought Thiago Moises, and he fought Matt Frevola, the Steamroller, who is big fan of that guy. He follows me on Twitter. Shout out Steamroller. And I digress. Like, I love Matt Frevola, but Matt Frevola ain't Dustin Poirier. And I think if I'm Dustin Poirier and I get this call and they're telling me, hey, we want you to fight this young man, this young kid. We want him to see what it's like to fight at the upper echelon of the UFC. And we want you to be the guy to welcome him there. If I'm Dustin Poirier, I'll be honest with you, I'm getting a little bit upset about that. I'm going to be a little bit enraged, but I'm going to accept it because I'm Dustin the Diamond Poirier. I am unbreakable. I am a Louisiana fucking raging Cajun, and I have already paid the cost to be the boss, but I will pay it time and time again, paid in full, paid in blood. And if I'm Dustin the Diamond Poirier, I'm not only accepting the fight, I'm not only signing the dotted line, getting paid my fucking worth, which we know he made happen because he said, oh, I haven't signed anything. And then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, just kidding. Miscommunication with management. Fight is on. That means Dana called him and said, hey, I'll make it right. I'll pay you what you're worth. So I'm getting my worth if I'm DP. And 2, not only am I going out to that cage on Saturday night, but I'm going out with a point to prove. I'm going out there looking at this young man like I'm Clint Eastwood, the good and the bad and the ugly, and I'm fucking murdering this kid. I'm not hurting him. I'm not knocking him out. I'm not putting him to sleep. I am hitting him so hard and so fast and so many times. If I'm Dustin Poirier, my goal is to make the God of War just change nicknames. Right? Like he's going to be the demigod of debacles when I'm done with him. Okay? Because like demigod of debates at best. This guy is not going to be the God of War when I'm done with him. I am going out there and I'm showing him that I don't care if you're a fucking God of War. Diamonds don't break. But you do. And that's what's going to happen on Saturday night. Dustin Poirier is going to hit this guy so hard, he is going to think he just got hot sauce splashed in his eyes because he is going to want to cry, young man. I'm riding hard with Dustin Poirier. Bet the fucking house on him. Benny St. Denis is a good fighter, but he is not ready. He is not at Poirier's level, and he will be left wanting on Saturday night. Tell us what you got, Nano.
Let's go. I can't fucking wait, man. I'm so excited. We both got the Dustin Diamond Poirier shirts on. If you want an unbiased opinion, you're not going to get it here, folks. We are riding the ship. We are excited, man. Bring out the hot sauce. Bring out the guns. And hey, man, we are seeing the Dustin Diamond Show for a reason, okay? I know it's the Sugar Show. I know all these shows, but it is Dustin Diamond Poirier that we're talking about here. And there's a few reasons why he answered this call. There's a few reasons why we're seeing him fight a Benoit Saint Denis, okay? Because first and foremost, you look at it, you say, okay, Diamond, Dustin, he's ranked number 3. He's used to fighting the Conor McGregors or the Max Holloways or Justin Gaethjes or Islam or Khabib. I say Islam because it's kind of in that realm. He's usually fighting the who's of the who's. Charles Oliveira's. He's fought everybody. Why is he fighting another 12 ranked Benoit Saint Denis? Is it because he's a fancy name? But I think it is because he's coming off 5 wins with 5 finishes. And when you look at the landscape of the lightweight division, though it is stacked, you got to find a way to stick out a little bit. Rankings aside, anyone in the top 15, like Dustin said, is deserving and wants to be the one to showcase that he's not better than anyone else in the sense that, hey, I'm 3. I'm willing to take a 12 or a 9, or I'm not above is what I'm trying to say. I'm not above taking a lower ranked guy because we've all earned this spot. And this guy is coming off 5 finishes, not just 5 wins, 5 finishes. So wanted to quickly plug that, but no, man, just to quickly as well, because, I keep saying quickly here, but I want to break it down for y'all here. I appreciate y'all staying tuned. But man, Dustin Diamond Poirier, 35 years old. That's scary, right? He's talked about it. I know he's gone viral for saying, I don't know, this might be my last one. Well, hey, tomorrow's not promised, okay? So don't read into that. He's trying to make one more climb back to the top. He needs to fight Islam. He needs to check this off in his bank. He needs to see if he has what it takes. And like you said, he needs that challenge. And that's what Benoit Saint Denis is going to offer. He's going to offer him a phenomenal challenge. But there's a reason why Dustin wanted it to be 5 rounds. And I think he knows something, is that the real winner is going to win after 25 minutes. Anything can happen in 15, but the real winner is going to win after 25. And I do think that's going to be our boy Dustin Diamond Poirier. Why? As much as I love Benoit and he is scary on the ground, Dustin has a neutralizer on the ground. He's really good. He's a first, second degree jiu-jitsu black belt. He's no stranger when it comes to that department. So I'm not worried about him getting taken down or getting hurt and getting taken out of there. I don't think that's going to happen, because when you look at Benoit Saint Denis and his striking prowess, it's just not on the same level as Dustin. Dustin's going to be in the pocket. Dustin's the bigger guy. Well, actually, Benoit did look pretty big, tall, at least taller than Dustin, but Dustin's a stockier dude, and he's going to, I think, be stronger, and he's going to kind of bully him a little bit, be in the center of the octagon, and Benoit's going to try to, I think, land one of those crazy leg kicks, or it's just, I'm trying to pick my words wisely here, because I'm not trying to disrespect our boy Benoit Saint Denis. Like, he's a beast, and that kick that he got on Matt Frivola was nasty. But was it, the most technical thing? I mean, it felt a little lucky, let's be honest. I mean, I'll just call it what it is. Like, it's not like it was something he was setting up. I think it's something a read that he caught, but I'm not expecting him to get Dustin with something like that. I'm not expecting him to sit in the pocket, read the counter, and respond. Like, when it gets into the technical and the nitty gritty, like, I think Dustin's going to put on a clinic. I think he's going to put on a clinic. He's going to hit Benoit 3 to 4 times, and Benoit will maybe get 1 or 2 off. So it'll be a fun back and forth fight. It's going to be 25 minutes of grueling pain. But I think Benoit Saint Denis is going to be on that receiving end much more than our boy Dustin Diamond Poirier is. And again, if it goes anywhere, I mean, clinch, grappling, anywhere it goes, I like Dustin's odds. So give us my boy. He's going to show him how it's done. Show this young buck that this old dog still has a lot of bite in him. And then hopefully a title shot after that.
Yeah, I'm not mad, man. I think Dustin Poirier still has a lot of fight and a lot of bite. I think he gets it done. I think he gets a title shot after this. And then I do think he possibly has what it takes to get the win over Islam Makhachev. That's me being extremely biased. I mean, I'm biased towards fucking Islam, though. So, like, what the hell do I know, right? I'm biased towards both these guys. But in this fight, I do think that, all bias aside, Dustin Poirier he's that guy. He's that guy, pal. And he gets it done over Benoit Saint Denis. I do like Benoit Saint Denis. I just think that this is going to be a very big learning experience for the kid. And one thing I will say is he's ex-Special Forces, right? But he doesn't fight like ex-Special Forces. He fights like the God of War. He's very chaotic. He comes out there and he's like throwing hard shots, big hooks, looping hooks. That's the kind of shit that's going to get you countered and knock the hell out against somebody like Dustin Poirier that's wily and smart and has one of the best flow states that I've ever seen. And I'll fucking take this to the grave, folks. You can fight me if you disagree with me. I know people think Max Holloway's the best boxer in the UFC, but it's Dustin Poirier. And then Jackie Three Names is getting up there pretty damn close. So that's why the best boxer in the UFC parlay is Jackie Three Names and Dustin Poirier. We're going to put a unit on that one for sure. I think we may have actually put 2 units on that one. I'll have to check. I'll have to check back down the chat log here to see which ones we agreed to here.
It was 2.
It was 2. We put 2 units on that one. Why the
2
fuck
for you.
wouldn't we? Why the fuck wouldn't we, folks? Yeah, we did it. We dropped a handful of hefty little bets here. So jumping into the main event of the evening here, we got Sean O'Malley coming in against Marlon Chito Vera. Oh man. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I know it's the main event, but I'm going to keep this one shorter than the last one here. We're just going to come right out and say it. Boom. Chito Vera. That's it. That's the breakdown. No, I'm just kidding. Marlon Chito Vera gets it done, though, folks. Cheers to you. Cheers to yours. Cheers to ours. Cheers to everyone's. We saw this fight. We saw this fight happen. Marlon Chito Vera came out there. He hit the peroneal nerve, and he got it done. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it was a fluke. He hit a nerve in the leg and made his leg fail, and it was not going to happen again. Doctor stoppage. With all due respect, folks, it's still real. It still happened, and it's not going to happen exactly like that again. No, it's definitely not going to happen like that again. But I will tell you exactly how it is going to happen. I'll tell you how it's going to happen. It's going to happen across a longer distance this time around, because Sean O'Malley last time, he did get caught to the peroneal nerve, and that definitely changed the complexion of the fight, right? It dictated the outcome of the fight. It meant that in the very first round, Marlon Chito Vera was going to get the finish. But if you look at that fight when it actually first happened, right? What was happening in that fight before that? Well, I'll tell you. He definitely was not opening up on Chito Vera the way that he opens up on most of his other opponents. In fact, he had only landed 10 strikes across the entire first round, and his opponent had landed 18. Granted, that's including the 3 follow-up shots once he got on the ground on top of him, and the peroneal nerve kick. But either way, this is something that should be noted. Sean usually starts very quick, especially compared to his opponents. Raulian Paiva, 11 to 40 strikes. Chris Moutinho, 230 to 70 strikes. Thomas Almeida, 25 to 91 strikes. Peter Yan, that one was a bit closer. It was 91 to 91. Pedro Munoz, he eye poked him. Pedro Munoz was outlanding him. So again, when he's against these gritty, wily veterans, Aljamain Sterling, 26 to 24. I just think that he has a bit of a tendency to wait and to hesitate and not flow in the way that he usually does, or crash in, for that matter, the way that he usually does. And if that is the case, Marlon Vera is just steadily going to pick up steam. He is like a steady flow of water. He's like a steady stream. No, fuck that. He is like a goddamn waterfall, folks. And he's going to be crashing down. And I don't care if Sugar Sean O'Malley is a rock. Water will break a rock as long as it's got time to crash over that rock continuously. And that's what I think Pedro will do. He'll continue to pick it up. I think he gets a finish in the third round, probably. Maybe in the fourth, but I definitely see this happening. Every second that this fight continues, Nano, past the 2.5 minute mark of round 2, it's not looking good for your boy. I know we differ here, and we're putting opposing shots. I'll probably be calling you on Instagram video here, but I mean, I look forward to doing a shot with you Saturday when your guy loses or my guy loses. Either way. I just hope for a good fight, and I think no matter what, no matter which of our guys wins, we'll get that.
I love that, brother. And I think I'm going to stay in that same realm. I'm going to stay in that same universe, in that same bubble, okay? Because that's really where I'm at, brother. I'm a huge Sugar Sean fan. I'm rooting for my guy. We're both wearing Dustin shirts. If I had a Sugar hat and some merch, I'd be rocking that as well. Imagine my hair's all curly and poofy, or I got the braids and they're colorful, but I'm a diehard fan. I ride with my boy, not just because I'm based out of Phoenix here, Arizona, not just because we're the same age, but I love everything that Sugar brings. And again, I think he's the perfect example of an athlete that has grown up in MMA, has developed and developed all of his skills. He's great on the ground, one of the best strikers. He's a generational talent when it comes to striking. Like he is one of those guys. I mean, on a short list, like if I'm telling my grandkids who are some of your favorite strikers, I'm listening to Corey Sandhagen. I'm listening to Sugar Sean O'Malley. I'm listening to Dustin Diamond Poirier. They just so happen to be main event, co-main event. But again, and Israel Adesanya, maybe an Alex Pereira. I mean, there's a very short list of fighters, but Sugar is that guy, okay? His spacing, his ability to use his range, use his feints to his advantage, and then to use his variety of kicks and punching. I mean, his accuracy and his ability to land on the mark. I mean, Robert Whitaker's called him a sniper, excuse me. And that's what he is. He's a sniper. He's Very, very talented, and not just a great athlete, not just a great fighter, but the mental game. Like, not just maybe just because I watch him, I listen to his podcast, and I'm well in tune with what he's doing. But watching his fight against Aljo and watching the ESPN MMA mention it as well, like, he was so stoic, and that's a lot of what he does. It's not just the physical game; it's about the mental edge as well. So he takes everything. He has that championship mindset. He's had it for a long time. But man, you just got to appreciate someone that's doing all those little things, from getting dialed in, from living an organic lifestyle, to the plunges, to breathing, to tracking his sleep, and again, keeping his breath, keeping his emotions in check, keeping his heart rate down. Even after he knocked out Aljamain Sterling, the biggest moment of his life, you're not seeing him smile, you're not seeing him freak out or in shock. He was deep breath, still keeping his cool, like, yep, okay, exactly what I manifested. And that in and of itself should speak to his character and to what I think we're going to see on Saturday night. We're going to see a measured, a calculated champion going out, trying to retain that belt, trying to start his reign, trying to take that next level of stardom. And he's going to do so, hopefully, by staying calculated, staying smart, staying dialed in. He's going to have to obviously continue with his feints. But I do think if he looks at what Corey did to Chito, which was neutralize his so the way that Corey was able to use his movement and his ability to jab, leg kick, calf kick, rip the body, 1-2 upstairs, uppercut, like his ability to keep Chito guessing and to not be in the same space for too long, it made Chito turn into a hermit crab, turn him into a turtle, put him into a shell. I mean, I think I was just rewatching it earlier, so it was like halfway through the second round, or it might have even been the first round. Of course, Sandhagen had like over 100 strikes landed. Chito had like 15. So I think the volume can be Suga's best path to victory here. The reality is, though, and why I think it's going to be hard, and one thing I've heard on the YouTube sphere, and as I'm preparing, and it is real. Like, I know a lot of fighters get hurt, but Suga gets hurt a lot, and going 5 rounds, we haven't seen him do it yet. Because the reality is, Chito's never been finished, and it would be hard to see him go out there and get finished this Saturday. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Suga does have an uncanny way to find the finish, but I think it's going to be a grueling 25-minute affair. And I think if Suga stays healthy, it's going to be ant still. But can he break his hand? Can he break a ankle or a foot or a shin? Really likely. It's one of those things you hear about it. Some people are just denser than others, and Suga unfortunately does tend to get injured more often than not. So I think that's my fear number one. But if he can make it out injury free 25 minutes out of this war, it's going to be because of the pace, and it's going to be because he was able to hurt Chito just enough, and maybe hopefully does mix in a little boxing to kind of again do what Corey Sandhagen did, just win on the scorecards. Not make it a complete slugfest, because if it is a true brawl, shout out Super Shy Guy there with the Squirtle and Turtle reference. I appreciate you appreciating that. But yeah, if it turns into a straight brawl, I mean, 20-minute 15 to 25, I'm nervous for my boy Suga. That's where Chito thrives. Chito is a slow starter, but it's because he's downloading the data, and then I don't know, in his fashion, he'd say, "Hey," I say, "Fuck it, I'm trying to kill this guy," right? So it's like, I'm trying to be smart. But man, I mean, his ability, his durability, that's his best ability, Chito Marlon Vera. Fight out of Ecuador, my grandpa's home country. He immigrated from Ecuador to the States here when he was 17. So that has a special place for me. I'm also a fan of Marlon Chito Vera. I mean, turn on a podcast, just look at the dude's style, look at his Instagram, like, dude's a superstar in his own. And I think Suga was taken back by not being like the hometown favorite there. So again, I'm stalling here. I'm just rambling at this point. Not going to bet. It's tough for me to bet against my boy Marlon Chito Vera, because he is one of my favorite fighters as well, for everything I just mentioned. I do think Suga's just going to find a way to win. I think it's going to be because Marlon just man, and it's not that he wasn't locked in, but it just wasn't able to find a solution, was able to find an answer to those exchanges, which it's little moments. They're going to be separated. They're going to be in the pocket. And what's going to happen in those little exchanges? And I think early on, Sean's going to win. And he can do damage. Like, that's the thing. If Chito gets even just a little hurt early on, that's going to make him a little more gun shy, a little more hesitant as it rolls along. But if Marlon cracks, so maybe he, like you mentioned, trying to rip the leg, maybe he notices he's hurt or gains some confidence early on, then it can go a different direction. Like Suga, you know. But then I think of that Peter Yan fight, right? Again, I mean, he took some licks from a boxer in Peter Yan that was laying it on him. So, you know, is Marlon that much of a heavier hitter than Piotr? He is a little bit of a bigger guy for sure. A little bit more of a brawler, a little bit more of a street guy, which I love. But all that to say, I mean, I'm going to lean with, you know, if you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. Suga's going to be here to save the day. So give me my boy Suga by decision, but would not be surprised, and I would be happy with Anu. I would. Because Marlon's a dude. He's someone you want to root for, man. He fights for the right reasons. That's all I'm going to say. I love it. I'm excited, man. Can't freaking wait. UFC 299. It's stacked. I know we were going to be short and sweet on this, but man, nothing sweet about it. This is straight fire, straight gasoline.
I just said I was going to be short and sweet. You don't have to follow my lead, brother. You do your own thing, brother. You play by the beat of your own drum.
Come out. I had to just elaborate on that, but hey, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Shots on Suga, but I'll still do a shot to celebrate my boy Chito as well. So let's go.
Let's go. You love to hear it. You love to see it. And that's it for the UFC fights. That's it for UFC 299. But I digress. I mean, we'd be a chump if we didn't at the very least talk about, you know, even if it's just like the most lightweight of all time breakdown here. We got to do a little bit of boxing talk. All right, so let's talk about boxing here, guys. We have two things to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about very fucking briefly. We got Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. What in the actual fuck? Nobody saw that coming. Mike Tyson signed the dotted line, apparently, and now he's fighting a YouTuber. Rumor has it he has to get through the first 20 fighters that you have to beat before you get to Mike Tyson on Punch Out before he gets to fight him. Just kidding. Bad jokes all day here, folks. So, you know, bad jokes aside, Mike Tyson's almost 60 years old. He's literally just a handful of years away from unlocking the senior citizen discount at IHOP. And now he's going to be boxing Jake Paul, a, you know, like 20-something-year-old YouTuber. So just wanted to get your thoughts quickly on this, your instantaneous reaction to this before we jump into the Ngannou fight.
I mean, honestly, I thought it was a hoax at first. I thought it was not real. I still am holding reservations that it may not be real. Might be some Illuminati stuff. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to believe it. Maybe something will happen and it doesn't happen.
We can save the Illuminati stuff for Ryan Garcia, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Ask him. He knows all about it. He's plugged in. What a week for boxing, huh? Man, I mean, it's crazy. To be honest, I think Mike Tyson might piece up our boy Jake Paul. I don't see him getting dropped like the other guys have. I'm curious to see if it ends up being a professional bout, like what the rules are, what the rounds are, everything. But Mike's going to be nasty in the pocket, and he's still got them hands, brother. So if Mike flipped on that switch and he's back into Iron Mike mode, then I would not want to be Jake Paul, I'll tell you that much. But that's crazy. I mean, to fight Mayweather, or well, I guess his brother fought Mayweather, and now Tyson, it's like, that's got to give Jake his flowers as well. What are your thoughts, man?
100% same. I mean, even at 57 years of age, Mike Tyson might be one of the scariest individuals on the face of the planet Earth. I mean, like, if Helldivers 2 was a real thing and we were actually fighting aliens, I would probably want Mike Tyson on my team. That's a question that Dustin Poirier was asked by Nina Drama this week. You know, if you had an alien invasion, you had to pick 3 fighters to be on your team, your squad to fight aliens with, who would you be or who would you choose? I mean, I would definitely put Mike Tyson on my team. I'd probably also put Dustin Poirier on my team. He's from the South, so he's probably, know how to use a gun, and also he knows how to fucking just destroy shit with his hands. And them hands are ready to eat for everyone, folks, just like Super Mario. So I think this fight is a very, very odd one. It's a very peculiar one. We got a 57-year-old coming in against, how old is Jake Paul? How the fuck old is Jake Paul? Jake Paul age. Jake Paul is 27 years old. Oh my God.
Nuts.
Hey, he is genuinely a child. And yes, his brother fought Floyd Mayweather. Now he's fighting Mike Tyson. They're fighting, the greatest of yesteryear, right? If he survives, it'll be a huge win on paper for him. If he wins, it'll destroy the legacy of Mike Tyson and build the legacy of Jake Paul. I hate everything about this fight other than the fact that it's free on Netflix, no pay-per-view wall. That's right, folks. This fight will be free on Netflix to every subscriber of Netflix. No pay-per-view wall. So that's the only win in this entire thing here, folks. But it is what it is. Will I watch it? Yeah, unfortunately. I will. I'm a fucking degenerate, man. I love combat sports. I will watch it. I will be very, very sad if Jake Paul goes out there and hits the fatality. But I digress. I don't think that's going to happen. I still think Mike Tyson's a scary man. I think the dipping and swaying that you saw me demonstrating earlier will prove to be just a little bit too much for Jake Paul. And either way, should be an entertaining night, to say the very least, for combat sports. Moving into the actual boxing match that we're going to be watching this weekend. We got Anthony Joshua, the Olympic kid, coming in against Francis Ngannou, the guy with the hardest punch recorded in the UFC PI. Who do you have in this one? Do you think that our MMA guy goes out there and gets it done?
I think so, man. I think he might be able to get it done. I don't think that Anthony Joshua is as good of a boxer as our boy Tyson Fury is. And because Ngannou was able to do what he did to Tyson Fury, I think Anthony's going to be a little bit more cocky in his approach with Ngannou. I think he's going to try to get him out of there. He's going to try and really pour some heavy shots and do everything he needs to do. He's not going to try to tie up as much. But I think that's going to expose himself to some heavy counter shots. I think Ngannou's going to be able to weather the storm. And as soon as Ngannou touches leather to freaking jaw or anything on his face or orbital, I mean, it's hard to weather that, brother. I mean, you saw what it did to Tyson. I don't think Anthony Joshua is going to have an answer for that. Granted, I guess I could be wrong, but I'm going for our UFC boy. I'm going for the mixed martial artist. Talking that shit in the presser. He's ready, man. He earned my respect.
Man, yours and mine both. I think he definitely shut down Tyson Fury. Like Tyson Fury, his dad, John Fury, his little brother, Tommy Fury, they were all in the crowd talking shit. And Tyson literally said the rules of boxing protected you. If there wasn't a ring, if there wasn't boxing rules, I would kill you. Shut up. And I think he snapped. And I've never seen Tyson Fury be shut up in my life. More or less, homie fucking Thanos snapped his ass, bro. He literally was all dust. Shut the fuck up.
They said pipe down.
Shut the fuck up. Bro, honestly, it was insane. It was just incredible to witness.
It was the nicest shit talk, though, huh? He's like, it would be very bad for you.
He's like,
you want to say I would fucking murder you,
piss me off, because if I get pissed off, it's very bad for you.
It'd be not good for you.
Bro, it was just all bad.
It was sick, though. It was sick. If there are no rules, he's like, he said, you are nothing in front of me. I was like, oh, that was sick. That's what the best line is. You are nothing in front of me.
Bro.
Oh, you are nothing. Yeah, so I'm not afraid of you. It's like when that, the little guy finally like stood up to the bull. It's like, I'm not afraid of you anymore. Like, you ain't shit. It's like, oh, come on. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so epic.
It's nice. It's very nice. So yeah,
It's the
man,
best.
is the best. This is a great fight, right? Like both of these guys are genuinely like physical specimen, especially when it comes to combat sports. Now, how do they match up against each other? How do they stack up against each other? That's the kind of biggest thing, right? And you can actually play it on knockoutchaos.com. You can play as those little characters and fight each other. So very, very smart marketing. The way they did the marketing, the little video game animations they did, everything that they've done thus far is just ingenious. And stylistically, these guys both look like they were cut out of a Marvel comic book. Like they look like superheroes. And I digress. It's going to be one of the better boxing matches that we've seen. Francis Ngannou always has the nuclear option. The other guy is supposed to be the more skilled and technical boxer. I'm going with our MMA guy. Call me crazy, call me biased, call me a fucking downright savage. Again, I'm going with our MMA guy. I'm even throwing down a couple of bets on this one. Now, here's a couple of fun boxing bets. I don't know how much the odds have shifted, but when I locked it in, I put 2 units down on Francis Ngannou to win by TKO, KO, or DQ at plus 380. So pretty solid stuff here. Okay. I'm a big fan of that bet. I feel like if Ngannou gets it done, he's probably going to get it done via finish. And in boxing, that's TKO. So 2 units will net you 9.6 units on that bet. And then in the other bet, this one is actually fucking just wild to me that I was able to get it at plus odds here. You might not even believe this, and it might not be at plus odds anymore. But here we go. I digress. Francis Ngannou to not be knocked down. That's it. Francis Ngannou to not be knocked down. Plus 225 on these odds. Have these boxing guys not seen Francis's chin? I mean, the guy didn't get knocked down by anybody he fought in MMA. Head kicks, knees. You think this guy's going to be able to do it with a fucking padded glove? No chance, kid. So 2 units on that one is going to turn into 6.5 if they both hit. That is, let's see here. That's 4 units into 16.1 just on that bet. And mind you, those are separate bets. So I'm happy with it. As far as the other bets go, we got the best boxer in MMA parlay. That one is good old Jackie 3 names and Dustin Poirier. And you know we had to go a little bit hard in the paint on this one, okay, folks? We had to go a little bit hard in the paint. But that's okay. We hammered this one down, okay? We put 5 units on this one. But that 5 units is very quickly going to turn into 23.5. So I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and flash up our overall picks so that way you guys can get a load of those again before we end the episode here. Keep in mind, these are not our bets. These are just our picks, right? So biggest differences here, obviously, Nano chose Sean O'Malley, where I chose Chito Vera. We're both leaning towards the diamond here. You already know what time it is. Paid the cost to be the boss. Both leaning towards Big Mouth to get it done over MVP. Split down the center here on Burns versus Jackie 3 names. Let's see here. Song. We're both sitting heavy on Song. Heavy is the head that wears the Song crown here. But I think he gets it done, and so does my co-host here, Jive Turkey Nano. The next one, Almeida. Whoa, did Burns' hair just grow? What just happened? That's wild.
Nice.
Gilbert Durinfro, ladies and gentlemen.
Love
Almeida, we both think gets it done here. It is a bit of a veteran versus a young dog bet, but we think the young dog gets it done here. Speaking of veterans versus young dogs, these next two look a little bit familiar there. We got the young dog getting it done in Macy Barber, both agreeing here. We got the young dog getting it done in Mateusz Gamrot, both agreeing here. And then we got the old dog, the old junkyard dog coming out here. to get it done in Pedro Munoz over Kyler Phillips. Pereira, my guy. My guy's a big fan of the theatrics, obviously, so he's leaning towards Pereira. I'm leaning towards Oleksiejczyk. You know what I mean? A little bit of meat and potatoes. I love a meat and potato striker here at the MMAnomaly Show. And then Cutelaba. We're both leaning Cutelaba here, even though he's inconsistent. I don't even know why I leaned Cutelaba. I feel like Lins probably gets it done, but that's what my gut told me, so that's where I put my little guy. Despang. Come on. Guy's got the longest reach in UFC history. He's coming out against a very inconsistent Parisian. I think he gets it done. And so does Jive Turkey Nano. We're not wrong that often, so let's give it a shot here, folks. CJ Vergara coming in against Almabayev. My guy. My guy's got it on Vergara. I've got it on Almabayev. Looks like one of us is going to be doing a shot early on.
I think we should all bet on Asu. I disregard my green check on this one. We're in agreement. I was wrong. Whoa. You talked me out of it.
Whoa!
I know you're right about it.
I know you're right about it. This is one that I know you're probably right about. Mind, brain, telling me to bet on the Playmate, Marina Moroz. Oh, but I digress. I'm a big fan of the Wood. Big lover of JoJo. And that's why the bet's got to go with JoJo. So I'm leaning towards JoJo Wood here. You're leaning towards Moroz. Either way, on Saturday, the whole world's going to know. So we'll find out soon enough. And I mean, I'm feeling good about our odds here. Do you have any parlays cooked up or any bets cooked up this week, Nano?
I did throw a couple together real quick. To be honest, one of them is my kind of long shot. A lot of the favorites. I mean, to be honest, if you're listening tonight, it's a lot of my picks. I'm trying to quickly load it up here. Let's make me log in. I need my face. Let's see.
Show that face.
So I have a couple. I know you have a couple in here too. So let me see what I put mine. Oh, I have a two-legger here that I think is fun. I have Sugar Sean to win by decision and then Dustin Diamond to win by decision. Just two of the boys. Hopefully they get it done. And then the other one I have, which is like my bigger one, is, where'd it go? 7 picks. And I like doing one large, pick them. If I get them all right, then it's, go big. 1 unit to get, 300, it's like 80 units, I guess. $5 to win 320. But I got Gamrot, I got Almeida, I got Piotr Jan in there. Oh, I regret that one already. I might need to change that up. But I got Gilbert Burns, Kevin Holland, Dustin Diamond, and Sugar Sean. I think I'm going to redo this with a few less legs. I might need to hedge that song in there. Anyways, that's my long legger. I'm glad we talked it out because honestly, I've changed my tune a little bit. But again, these fights are that close, y'all. Bet cautiously, but make sure y'all have some fun. Maybe a few bets, maybe $1 here and there. If you don't like the bet straight up, again, some of these can definitely end in finishes. So maybe some over-unders. There were some solid hedges.
There were some solid hedges that Mad Max was throwing out there. Not going to lie to you.
Yeah, worth hedging too.
I think the biggest hedge there is probably, and I actually am going to do this. I'm going to throw down. Yeah, I'm going to throw down a 1/5 of a unit on Moroz to win by decision, and I'm going to throw down a 1/5 of a unit on Wood to win by decision. That is, as Mad Max Meridian posted earlier, a nice little hedgeroni.
Hedgeroni pizza, baby. Let's go.
Hedgeroni pizza. Also, Asu by sub is at plus 115 right now. So, I'm mad at that. Not mad about. Oh, dude, I didn't even see this message earlier. That's so funny. This came in exactly 2 hours ago. Talk about how horrific Paul versus Tyson is, LOL. We did. I'm glad we did. It's horrific. It's bad. There's nothing good about it, except maybe the hope that Jake Paul gets knocked out. And yeah, Super Silly Shy Guy. It is free. It is free on Netflix. You should definitely watch it. You should definitely live tweet it. You should talk about how much of a travesty it is that fucking a child is fighting a 57-year-old. It just feels like elderly abuse. Doesn't feel like it should be legal. I don't know. But that's it, folks. That's it for the picks. Again, these are the picks for us right here. You can see them here on the screen. Flash, 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 flashy, flash. You know what I'm saying? We'll post these up on Twitter. We already have, actually. So make sure you're giving us a follow. It is at Jive Turkey Talk for Nano, aka Jive Turkey Nano. And for yours truly, the guy with the two opposable thumbs that's obsessed with fucking MMA, this guy at MMAnomaly on all platforms. So make sure you drop us a follow. And if you're new here to the show, make sure you do me a favor on the YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, and smash that bell for notifications. And again, as we like to say here on the show, as always, keep on going. Keep on growing. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. As you may have been able to tell, we dig the MMA, and our passion is to dive deep into the upcoming fights, give you our expert breakdowns, and help you make sense of all the chaos that is the fight game. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at MMAnomaly. Be cool, and we'll see you next time.